Good afternoon to one and all, virtual participants of LISACON 2020. I would like to start with a beautiful quote by William James, a well-known American philosopher. Human beings, by changing their inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives. A warm welcome to you all to LISACON 2020, a third LIS Academic Conference on reinventing excellence in librarianship. Today, we are tackling a topic that touches every librarian life, reinventing excellence in librarianship.
Conference, representatives of press and media, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me an immense pleasure in welcoming all of you to this inaugural function of the 4 days National Virtual Conference on Reinventing Excellence in Librarianship, LISACON 2020. Sir, I am delighted to bring to your kind notice about the LIS Academy and its activities here in few words. The LIS Academy, Library and Information Science Academy, is a professional charitable trust established to work for the development of the profession and to assist libraries with state-of-art technology. The primary focus of the LIS Academy is to provide need-based service to the different types of libraries in the country and to work for the advancement of library and information science profession at large. The LIS Academy, having a tagline of Learn, Inspire and Serve, aims to become the best active and dynamic professional body by supporting the professionals with the essential knowledge, skills and values of librarianship using innovative and cutting-edge technology by adopting best and fair practices and innovative ideas. The mission of LIS Academy is to spread multidimensional utility and overall growth of profession of librarianship through education, literature, research, publication, outsource, training programs, consultation, and collaboration. The LIS Academy has organized several programs since its inception 2016. Two national conferences, one at Bangalore in collaboration with Department of Public Libraries and the other one at Belgavi with VTU Belgavi. The Academy has also collaborated with JNTU Anantapuram and AICT New Delhi in organizing second Technological Vice Chancellor's Conclave on 13th and 14th of February 2020. LIS Academy has represented the profession and submitted proposals to the National Education Policy Committee appointed by MHRD under the chairmanship of Professor Kasturi Rangan. With this brief about LIS Academy, I am delighted to welcome and introduce the dignitaries on the virtual dais. The chief guest of this function and lover of libraries and librarians, the best blend of academician and administrator, the Honorable Chairman of National Board of Accreditation NBA, Professor K.K. Agarwalji, an intellectual asset of our country, still down to earth and humble person. When we requested Professor K.K. Agarwalji, he readily accepted to inaugurate this conference virtually. Sir, your blessings bestowed on LIS community will go a long way in strengthening our profession. On behalf of LIS Academy, University of Hyderabad, and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to Professor Agarwalji and would like to briefly introduce Professor K.K. Agarwalji to the audience. It is very difficult to frame a personality like Professor K.K. Agarwalji in few words. However, he is a well-known personality in the higher education sector since 4 decades. Professor Agarwal holds master's degree and PhD from NIT Kurukshetra. After a distinguished service of 27 years at NIT Kurukshetra, Professor Agarwal served as Pro Vice Chancellor GJU Hisar for a period of 3 years, and then as a Founder Vice Chancellor of GGS Indraprastha University, Delhi for a period of 10 years. He has been President of the Institute of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers, President Computer Society of India from 2007 to 2009, and President of Southeast Asia Regional Computer Confederation from 2008 to 2010. Professor Agarwal has published nearly 400 papers in the reputed journals. Professor Agarwal was conferred the honorary fellowship by Broadcast Society of India. He was decorated with a Lifetime Achievement Award by IETE and also the Computer Society of India. He took over the charge of Chairman NBA on 14 January 2019. Sir, I wholeheartedly welcome you once again to the inaugural function. Friends, another dignitary on the virtual dais, Professor Karisidappa, the Vice Chancellor of prestigious and one of the largest technological universities in India, the Visvesvaraya Technological University, Belgavi. He resembles the popular saying, simple living, high thinking. Professor Karisidappa is one among the very few unassuming personalities that I have come across in my lifetime. When we requested Professor Karsidappa to be a guest of honor of this virtual conference, he wholeheartedly accepted this offer, and then he encouraged us to proceed further. On behalf of LIS Academy and on behalf of my collaborating partner organizations and on my own behalf, I extend warm welcome to Professor Karsidappa and would like to introduce him in few words to the audience at large. Professor Karsidappa is presently serving as a Vice Chancellor for second consecutive term at VTU Belgavi. He did his Master's MTech from IIT Madras and PhD from IIT Roorkee. He has published more than 50 SCI articles and guided 34 MTech and 5 PhD students. As a Vice Chancellor, he has initiated various reforms at VTU. To name a few, in-house digital evaluation system, National Skill Development Center, Digital Payment Gateway, Human Resource Development Center, VTU HRDC at Mudenalli campus, and many more. He has several awards to his credit. To name a few, IST National Award for Best Administration for the year 2017, Top Notch Alumni Award by MCE Alumni Association, D. Govindas Award, and Lifetime Achievement Award of LIS Academy in 2019. Sir, I wholeheartedly welcome you once again to this inaugural function. Another guest of honor, the founder Vice Chancellor of Bengaluru North University, my guru, a giant personality among LIS community, Professor T.D. Kemparaju, popularly known as TDK. Professor TDK is one among the few torchbearers of profession of librarianship. Now, the profession of librarianship is at crossroads and remained undefined in national education policy. There is a threat that every organization will decide the status of librarians at their own whims and fancies in absence of proper guidelines and statutory directions. It is painful to state here that every academician says libraries are like the kitchen for the academic and research activities of the nation at large and the institution in particular. But unfortunately, when they are posted to draft a policy, they forget to define librarians' role in national education policy. We now look forward to Professor Kemparaju to lead us in representing our profession and get the anomalies redressed. On behalf of LIS Academy, University of Hyderabad, and on my own behalf, I extend warm welcome to Professor Kemparaju to this function and introduce Professor Kemparaju in my few words. Dr. T.D. Kemparaju, one of the outstanding LIS teachers of India, through his teachings, nationwide professional discourses, and international level involvements in the field of library and information science, Professor Kemparaju is being regarded as the torchbearer of Indian LIS profession in this generation. Professor TDK, apart from outstanding teacher, he has proved his capabilities as an able administrator. He has also served in various positions during his tenure, such as Director of Distance Education, Bangalore University, Registrar, Bangalore University during 2012 to 2013, Registrar, Mangalore University in 2015 to 2016, Special Officer, Bangalore North University 2015 to 2017, and presently he is serving as Vice Chancellor of Bangalore North University, Kolar, Karnataka State since 2017. Sir, I wholeheartedly welcome you once again to this inaugural function, sir. Friends, when we approached Dr. Varadarajan, the University Librarian of University of Hyderabad, and the Honorable Vice Chancellor of University of Hyderabad, Professor Apparao Pudili, to host the third LIS Academy Conference, LISACON2020 at University of Hyderabad. They had readily agreed to make it a memorable event at Hyderabad. We had held two preparatory meetings at University of Hyderabad till March 2020. Unfortunately, the pandemic COVID-19 disrupted our plans, but still we committed to conduct the event on virtual mode on the same scheduled dates. Accordingly, we are highly thankful to the University of Hyderabad for their support extended in organizing this event. Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Apparao Pudile was to preside over the inaugural function. But unfortunately, due to the inevitable situation, he assigned this responsibility to his pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor B. Rajsekhar. Professor Rajsekhar readily agreed to preside over this function. I thank him profusely for sparing his valuable time. On behalf of Alliance Academy and on my own behalf, I extend warm welcome to Professor B. Rajsekhar to this inaugural function and would like to introduce him to this August virtual gathering. Professor B. Rajsekhar is currently serving as Pro-Vice Chancellor of University of Hyderabad. He has a commendable track record in the field of higher education as an academician and academic administrator. Professor Rajsekhar is associated with the School of Management Studies since its inception, June 1999. He was also associated with the Telangana State Public Service Commission as one of the members of the committee for formulation of scheme and syllabus. As the Dean of the School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad, Professor Sekhar has played a significant role in launching a unique MBA program in business analytics at University of Hyderabad. Professor Rajsekhar is appointed as one of the members of the expert committee constituted by UGC to draft learning outcome-based curriculum framework for management. Professor Rajsekhar obtained his bachelor's degree in civil engineering and 3 master's degree in business administration, psychology, and education. Professor B. Rajsekhar was awarded 2 doctorate degrees in business management and psychology. Professor Rajsekhar is an authority on research methodology and conducted many research methodology workshops. Under his guidance, 15 scholars have been awarded doctorate degrees. Professor Rajsekhar has published 77 research papers in international and national journals, books, conference proceedings, etc. I once again welcome you wholeheartedly to this function, sir. Friends, LIS Academy always believes in inclusiveness. The profession of librarianship is very small, but we serve the large community of academicians and researchers at large. We prefer to define our family not only limiting to LIS profession, but also with our stakeholders. Hence, LIS Academy has set a practice to invite keynote speakers from among our strong admiring stakeholders. Our last conference keynote speaker was Professor Kavi Mahesh, Director of IIT Dharwad. Similarly, this time we have invited Dr. Shankar Venugopal, Vice President of Mahindra & Mahindra, Mahindra Valley, Chennai. A great lover of libraries and person hailing from a village nearer to the birthplace of Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, the Siali in Tamil Nadu. Maybe the locality of this place make people as library lovers. Dr. S.R. Ranganathan was also not born to be a librarian. A mathematics professor turned into librarian. Dr. Venugopal is also hailed such qualities and feel proud of libraries that he used for his studies, including IISc library, which he used while doing his PhD from Indian Institute of Science. Friends, gratitude not communicated is ingratitude itself, a Chinese proverb. LIS Academy greatly recognizes the support extended by University of Hyderabad, especially Dr. Varadarajan, the University Librarian of University of Hyderabad, who is also the organizing secretary of LISACON2020 conference. We also appreciate the support extended by Dr. B. Ravi, Librarian, University of Hyderabad, who is also a joint organizing secretary of this conference. I welcome both of them for this inaugural function. Last but not the least, I welcome all the plenary chair and speakers who are the foundation pillars for the success of this conference. I also welcome LISA team which includes everyone who always desire for collective branding under the banner of LIS Academy. Though my welcome address is little longer, I wanted to acknowledge each and every one who are associated in organizing this remarkable event. Once again, I welcome all those who have made this event a benchmark in the history of LIS conferences and hold the LIS Academy flag high, not only in India, but also all around the globe. Thank you, one and all again. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Konnur, for welcoming today's chief guests and highlighting the professional activities and efforts of LIS Academy in strengthening the LIS profession. Lamp leads darkness towards light. It's our custom to begin the function by lighting the lamp. So, I request all dignitaries in the virtual dais to light the lamp and inaugurate the virtual conference LISACON 2020.
शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्
I thank dignitaries for lighting the lamp virtually. Now, I request Dr. M.G. Srikumar, Chief Librarian and Adjunct Professor, IIM Kozhikode, and Director of the LISACON 2020 Virtual Conference, to brief about the conference.
Respected Dr. P.V. Konnur, President, LIS Academy, Bangalore. Respected Professor K.K. Agarwal, Honorable Chairman, NDA, MHRD, New Delhi. Respected Professor Karisadappa, Honorary Vice Chancellor, Visvesvaraya Technology University. Respected Professor T.D. Kemparaju, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Bangalore North University. Dr. Shankar Venugopal, Vice President, Mahindra and Mahindra Research Valley. Professor Rajesh Shekhar, Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Hyderabad. Dr. Varadarajan, University Librarian, University of Hyderabad. Esteemed office bearers and members of the LIS Academy, dear delegates of LISACON 2020, esteemed senior colleagues and budding professionals from the library and academic fraternity and fellow students. A very good afternoon to one and all, and once again a very warm welcome to LISACON 2020, the third national virtual conference of LIS Academy. Today is a momentous day for all of us and for the LIS Academy when we kick off the third national virtual conference, which is a signature event, a conference with a remarkable difference that will get registered in the history of LIS movement in India. Kudos to the LIS Academy leadership, especially Dr. Pandran Konnur and his unrelenting and dynamic team for putting together this wonderful event. Here, I wish to also compliment the LIS Academy's commendable agility and resilience in quickly adapting to the changes and the multiplicity of challenges posed by COVID-19, the hallmark of a 21st century organization. LIS Academy has the distinction of being a unique association for the LIS profession with its tagline, Learn, Inspire, Serve, with a special focus for the upskilling and reskilling of the upcoming library professionals as well as students of LIS. Capacity building and strengthening of libraries with the turnkey projects at nominal, win-win and affordable propositions, and a change agent in the overall growth of the LIS profession. As we all know, libraries are melting points where the society, culture, knowledge, scholarship, and technologies converge. Libraries of the 21st century are passing through exciting times with opportunities aplenty amidst a plethora of challenges. Unprecedented disruption in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, end-to-end technology integration, disintermediation, innovations and entrepreneurial pushes, the ever-growing user demands are the highlights of the higher education libraries of the day. Focusing on these vital issues, the theme of LISACON 2020 is reinventing excellence in librarianship. Befitting to the present context of the pandemic, it's a 4-day virtual conference starting today, the 27th of August 2020. The conference is spread across 6 theme sessions in next 3 days. The themes are designed in such a way that it covers all aspects of library and information science domain to suit the present digital environment as detailed below. Theme number 1, reinventing library services in the digital age. Number 2, new paradigms in collection development. Number 3, leveraging library technologies. Number 4, data, metrics, and ranking, the role of librarians. Number 5, role of libraries in inculcating research ethics. And the 6th theme is library diplomacy. There are altogether 41 paper presentations and comprise 6 plenary talks and 35 invited talks. I am proud to mention that the Academy's earnest efforts in presenting the galaxy of renowned speakers representing academia, industry, and R&D, corporate, and the publishing industry has been highly successful. I am sure all speakers will be sharing their invaluable knowledge, their best practices, innovative services, and case studies implemented in their workplace. The versatile array of speakers from young dynamic professionals to the highly experienced senior professionals will deliver a perfect blend of insights and field-tested experience during this conference. I urge all the participants to make use of this unique and best opportunity to update and enrich their knowledge. The best attraction of the conference is the quiz competition at the end of every session. The link of the quiz session will be shared immediately after each of the sessions during Q&A session, and the link will be active for 10 minutes. The participants will have to submit the answers within 10 minutes. The winner will be announced in the beginning of the next session and will be published on LISACON website, LISACON2020 website. The quiz session will be followed by publishers' presentations. There are 9 industry sponsors who have supported this conference, 1 platinum sponsor, 5 gold sponsors, and 2 silver sponsors. On behalf of the LIS Academy, I wish to thank each one of them for the generous support extended to LISACON 2020. I take this opportunity to once again congratulate the LIS Academy for meticulously organizing this virtual conference with very innovative set of themes led by a brilliant mix of luminaries in the education and the LIS domain in the country, and with the star-studded expert speakers and the galaxy of stalwart subject experts who are covering the entire gamut of librarianship, which are relevant for the present and the days to come. So friends, wishing you a wonderful virtual conference filled with the highly qualitative knowledge, enrichment, dialogues, discussions, debates, and deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for briefing about the structure of virtual conference, which is first of its kind in LIS domain. Thank you. Now, it's our immense privilege and honor to request today's chief guest, Professor Agarwal, Honorable Chairman, National Board of Accreditation, MHRD, New Delhi, a well-known academician and an administrator known for his contributions to the field of reliability and quality engineering in India, to deliver his inaugural address and formally inaugurates LISACON 2020.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here at the auspicious occasion of the inauguration of this great conference. Thank you so much for the very nice words spoken about me. At the outset, I pray to God to make me worthy of these sentiments and retain those all my life. Thank you, Dr. Connor, for inviting me here, even though I am not very directly connected with the subject. Dr. Connor, your simplicity, sincerity, and service attitude just does not allow me any room for saying no whenever you want me by your side. May you be blessed for doing more and more to the service of the library science, which I always consider as a great service for academics, research, and innovation, and hence to the youth of this country. I am considering fortunate to be at this inauguration where Professor Karisidepa, Professor Kemapraju, the eminent vice chancellors in their respective universities are here. Dr. Shankar Venugopal from Mahindra and Mahindra is here. I take it as a great signal of industry institutes coming together. I also will like to acknowledge the gracious presence of Dr. M.G. Shri Kumar, Professor B. Rajshekharan, of course, Dr. Kunor, and Dr. Varatharajan here this afternoon. Friends, the conference has attracted so many eminent delegates, speakers, plenary chairs, etc., and I feel it's a great honor for me. Friends, this is the third conference being organized by LIS Academy, and first in the virtual mode, which they had to do because of the severe disruption because of COVID-19. This kind of disruption is the severest in this century, and we pray it doesn't have to be faced again. But in the face of this disruption, many things had to change, and the organizers also had to change from physical mode to the virtual mode to organize this conference. Friends, LIS Academy has been doing a great service to the profession of library science, to the information services for quite some time, and holding great conferences for the last couple of years. They have been conducting several programs. They have been coming out with nice publications, and this conference is one of the benchmark events of LIS Academy. I'm particularly happy when I note that the objective of LIS Academy is not as much towards the librarians as is towards the profession of library science and information science. That's a great service, and I'm very happy to appreciate that at this point of time. Even the tagline of LIS Academy, which of course is very judiciously thought as learn, inspire, and serve, is a great tagline which they are rightly maintaining. Friends, in addition to the LIS Academy, this conference is being partnered by University of Hyderabad, which is one of the premier most universities of this country. This university has done us proud in all academic work by their extraordinary performance, while accreditation status, ranking status, or whatever. Their joining hands with LIS Academy certainly adds value to the profession of library and information science. In addition to that, they also have partnered with Indira Gandhi Library, which is a great library by itself, and their association will help all the people who are associated with it. And finally, their Telangana Library Association is also becoming a part of this. This conference, therefore, I take as a live example of networking. I am a student of computer science, and I have always been saying we found it easier to network the computers, but to network the institutions and to network the human beings has been a very difficult task, which the organizers have achieved very successfully. And I'm so happy and will like to place on record my appreciation and congratulations to them. The theme of your conference is also extremely relevant at the present juncture, which says reinventing excellence in librarianship. my dear colleagues, I have been a student of quality and reliability much of my life, and about 100 publications of mine are in the subject of quality and reliability. I have been toying with the words excellence and perfection all over in the discussions, deliberations, writings. I always attached more importance to the word excellence than to the perfection, for the very simple reason that perfection is an end point. It's a goal. You have reached the Mount Everest. Now, what do? Try to be sustained to remain there as long as you can and look down. But excellence is a journey which keeps you taking higher and higher, further and further, and therefore you keep on improving, keep on giving better services. That is the greatness which is imbibed in this title of excellence. And when you say reinventing excellence, I say that in the present era of disruption, it is not only higher benchmark that you are here today and you want to set a benchmark this. That probably is not going to work this time, because as you go higher, the path may not be straight. The disruption, particularly in the academic world, is going to be so great that the straight journey, the linear path may not be available. So your journey from here might not go here, might go here. And therefore, it's probably have to play with the accelerator and the steering both at the same time while you're driving. Just putting your foot on the accelerator and go to the cruise mode is not going to work, because disruption is going to close many roads, close many paths, but open many other paths. And therefore, I believe when you coined the word reinventing, probably you never knew that COVID is coming and you will have to reinvent. You probably were thinking reinventing is a normal way of life, which it is, but this has made it all the more relevant. And I'm sure the deliberation in these days will take you a step further to reinvent in a very big way, in a very meaningful way. Ladies and gentlemen, I was looking at the themes which the conference has chosen for themselves, and I can't imagine there could have been better themes than this. Reinventing library services in digital age, new paradigms in collection development, leveraging library technologies, data, metrics and ranking, role of librarians, role of libraries in inculcating research ethics, and library diplomacy. I mean, these are 6 so important topics on which you will be debating for full 4 days, involving best of the brains available, not only in this country, but also some of them abroad, to bring to some definite conclusions on these 6 themes, each of which is a very important subject by itself. So my compliments to the organizers for having chosen these themes so carefully. And more than that, I find that the speakers which have been chosen, the plenary chairs which have been taken up, is a galaxy by itself. It's who's who in library science and information sciences. If I want to talk about all the 42 speakers, that's going to be a long list, and you have it in your folders. So I'd just like to acknowledge the plenary chairs, which are most eminent by any standards. Shri B.P. Prakash, Director, Library Services, Ashoka University; Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, Fellow TERI; Dr. Giridhar Kunkur, BITS Pilani; Dr. Jagdish Arora, my colleague in National Board of Accreditation now, formerly at InflibNet; Dr. P. Mukhopadhyay, Professor, Kalyani University; and Dr. K. Rama Patnaik, IIM Bangalore. These are the 6 people who will be driving the 6 tracks during the course of these 4 days. And I'm sure at the end of the 4 days, many like me will look forward to the results, to the delivery outcomes of this conference with great enthusiasm. I wish all the tracks have a great success, have a great list of deliverables to be given to the academic community and to the libraries in general. I was feeling that you could do these over 4 days, and 42 people, all best in library science, when it talk, what are the deliverables which we will have. We probably will have a compendium of future strategies in managing our libraries, in managing knowledge resource centers, and be of much greater service to the humanity at large. Friends, I now will talk a few minutes about the libraries from the perspective of an academician who really is neither a librarian nor a library science a student. But I believe any academician, any researcher, any innovator, any scientist has a great love for library and has to have a great love for the library. Librarians reflect culture of a country. They also form a heart of academic and research organizations all across the world. The new advances in technology, transformation of learning resources from print to digital, and new age digitally savvy students and users of libraries have forced organizations in general and libraries in particular to transform themselves to meeting the changing needs of learning, teaching, and research. These kinds of conferences will be great help to the libraries and librarians to learn and scale up, to reposition the libraries to meet new expectations. Friends, I shall take the liberty of quoting some experiences of mine in my academic career, which made me realize or feel attracted towards the importance of libraries or library services. My dear most eminent colleagues, I remember when I was Vice Chancellor of the first university of the government of Delhi, IP University, and as a founder Vice Chancellor, one of my challenging tasks was to build the campus of the university. To build a campus of the university in Delhi, we wanted to make it as best as we can. And therefore, we invited open architectural competition for building the campus of the university. 34 architects competed for the same, along with some foreign entries. When we set up a jury for evaluation of all these proposals and then choose the architect for the university. The jury involved persons of the status of Professor Kanvinde, who built IIT Kanpur. And the jury shortlisted from 34 to 12, then 12 to 5, and finally to 2. And then I think more as a matter of courtesy, they asked, "Sir, you as Vice Chancellor, now choose between A and B. These are the two best architects according to me, according to the jury." And I said, "Well, why are you leaving this job to me?" They said, "Sir, I think we should have some input to this." I said, "Okay, I'll come and join your meeting." So I said, "You obviously give me the choice between A and B. Some architectural aspects must be better in A, some must be better in B, and that makes it a difficult decision. Otherwise, it would have been a simple decision." I said, "I just want to know one thing, and that is, out of these A and B, which has a better library design?" and I was told architect A has a better library design. And I said, then without looking at other factors, I choose architect A for my university, because I strongly believe library should be the place which should be most attractive location for a university, which should attract the students even by mistake, and that will help. Today they might walk in just for fun. Tomorrow they will read something, and day after tomorrow they will become deep researchers. So library in the life of a university has that importance in my mind, and I always believed in that very strongly. Friends, I believe in addition to this, library is more of a service than the profession, according to me. And as we go deeper and deeper into higher intellectual levels, the role of librarians and the culture they exhibit will play greater and greater role in our refinements. As we go higher and higher academic echelons, the library will become more important. Attitudes of librarians will be of utmost importance to any institution worth a name. I recall a very small case study which was done in a country abroad, of course, but it indicates a lot. They just wanted to find out how does the attitude of library staff reflect on the students and the researchers. They just, as an experiment, they found two students who will go to the library, ask the same book from two different deputy librarians, and the book is misplaced. So student A goes to deputy librarian X and says, sir, I wanted to find this book, but I don't find it in the shelf. And the deputy librarian A says, if you can't find the book, what do you expect me to do? Go and locate it again. If you can't find it today, maybe you can find it tomorrow. I can't do anything about it. Anyway, the student has no option. He comes out. The student B goes to deputy librarian Y and he says, ma'am, I wanted this book, but it's not available on the shelf. What do? I need it urgently. She says, but it is in the library. I see it on my computer. It is in the library. But if you can't find it, okay, I'll put some staff on duty to find the book for you. You give me your phone number, and the moment we trace the book, we'll let you know. You come and get it issued. Both the students have not got the book. Both go out, and because it's a designed experiment, both are given a feedback sheet to be filled up. The feedback sheet has questions like this: how do you like your library? Is it well lighted? Is it well stocked? Do you find enough books in the library? And so on and so forth. There are about 10-12 questions. The student A answers no to all the 12 questions, and the student B answers yes to all the 12 questions. That is the importance of attitude of the staff in the service to a student. And I always say library is one service point, just like hostels, sports center, swimming pool, etc., which can feel the nerve of the student, which can satisfy the researchers, and that brings in much more harmony on the campus, in addition to the academic contributions of the campus. I have always said, the vice chancellors, in the lighter vein, I say, to make your life easier and to reduce at least one dissatisfaction point from the students, choose your librarian very carefully. Because if librarian is careful, many of these things can be taken care of pretty well. And at this juncture, when I am addressing you, you are all in such senior positions. You will be appointing staff at frequent times, and I would request you to keep this in mind, that attitude of library staff is something very, very important. And you have to be now more and more service oriented in the present scenario, because the role of libraries are changing and will keep changing. When I look to the genesis of LIS Academy and the contributions of Dr. Kono. Look at the services, look at the consortium, look at the reading material available to such a large number of researchers at practically no cost. Now that's the service which has to be looked at very seriously and benefiting more and more people in the periods to come. Finally, friends, I would like to give a suggestion which I know is beyond my brief, but as a chief guest, I can take the liberty of. I think time has come when you will not only be required to serve the profession of library science, but your objective will have to be promote and augment quality of education via library services, because I see a very high degree of impact on the overall quality of education because of library services. I can visualize libraries will have a totally different look and scenario in the very near future, and we will have to start all working in that direction right away. When this COVID, which again I repeat, is the severest possible disruption which we have. We had disruptions earlier, and disruptions change life. For example, people define printing itself as a disruption. Before printing, you had no option but to listen to the guru in the class very attentively. After the books, you had that option. So it's a disruption. WhatsApp is a disruption. Mobile smartphone is a disruption. Electricity is a disruption. Artificial intelligence is a disruption. But COVID is probably the largest disruption which we have, and it is going to change education scenario like anything. When we reopen after a month, 2 months, whatever, still for a few months at least, because of the social distancing norms and the precautions having to be taken, we will not be able to put all the students in the classrooms as we used to do earlier. And therefore, I visualize a scenario, a classroom where we used to have 60 students, now maybe 20, 25, 30 at best. A laboratory where we used to have 30 students, maybe now 15, 20. And therefore, quite a large number of students, even after the universities and the colleges and schools reopen, will have to be outside their classrooms. Now, where do they go? It may be possible that some of them are not invited to the campus every day, and the classes are so adjusted, which will be done, I believe. But nonetheless, there would be occasions when the students will have to be in the campus outside the classrooms. In that scenario, what could be a better option for the students than the libraries to be made use of? And therefore, I visualize that in the coming time, we will have to be prepared for larger numbers visiting libraries, larger readership, larger user base, and we have a challenge that we also have to maintain social distancing and all that. So therefore, I believe that maybe there was a time when we were trying to centralize the libraries for their own purposes. I think we might have to go towards many small libraries in the campus, and from centralization, we might start moving towards decentralization. Create several small reading rooms, create several small e-library facilities, and so on and so forth. And therefore, I visualize a total change in the look and functioning of the libraries. And I obviously would love that if the students cannot be in the classroom, best would be for them to be in the library in some form or the other. How do we adjust it is for all of us put together, not only librarians, not only professors of library science, but entire academic community will have to think about it. And I would believe that the future requires us to optimize e-resources and physical resources as one entity. We cannot optimize physical resources alone. We can't optimize e-resources alone, but we will have to think how can we optimize e-resources and physical resources put together, and then make sure that we are able to serve the students the most, serve the community in the best possible manner. Friends, lockdown has been a period of dismay for most of us. In India alone, 33 crore students were outside their classrooms, schools, colleges, and the universities. World over 1.6 billion students were outside their classrooms. And in this scenario, libraries were not equipped, rather none of us was equipped for this scenario. But libraries would have to be equipped now much better to take care of the change scenarios. Lockdown ultimately, at the end of the day, may give us a dividend in some positive deliverables. I was reading the life sketch of Newton, the great scientist, one of the greatest scientists of which we have heard of, and he had to stay out of his university for good 18 months during lockdown when the plague spread. And when he was at home in lockdown, he somehow could bring books from the library before lockdown and did probably highest amount of his lifetime study during lockdown. Now, fortunately, books not even have to be brought. You can use a person of the stature of Dr. Connor and get almost anything at home. And that was the time when Newton did the maximum research of his life. He did much of the theoretical work during lockdown, and when he went back to the university, he immediately submitted his research and got his fellowship. Not only that, lockdown also gave some opportunity to all of us to reflect back, to see whether all the running about was worth it, which we were doing. Again, I'll take the example from Newton's life. Sitting leisurely in the backyard of his house, he saw an apple falling and discovered the law of gravitation during lockdown. Had it not been lockdown, maybe he was also running about and may not have noticed apple falling in that perspective as he noticed at that time. All of us have seen apple falling. It's nothing very great, but, and he also must have seen many times earlier, but it was a relaxed state of mind. It was a leisurely state of mind which provoked his research, brought out the best of research in him during that time. So maybe we are able to give some of these ideas during this period to bring the best in our researchers. I know many researchers are passionately working even during lockdown, and the country has given many products during this short period of lockdown, which make all of us feel proud. This country has invented ventilators at a cost which is not even 10% of the traditional ventilator. Our students have designed ventilators which are the size of a toaster in the kitchen. Our students have converted a scuba diving helmet to a ventilator just by using a valve. And that valve also they printed using a 3D printer designed themselves at a cost of 10,000 rupees, and the entire helmet converted into ventilator in few thousand rupees. So lots of research has been done, is being done, and I'm sure this period after things reopen, many things will be visible to the world, and all this time the learning resources have been of a great help to each and every individual to be able to survive academically, intellectually, and come to grip with the latest on the subject and deliver the things which possibly could not have been done. So I don't think lockdown, yes, it has given us a lot of anxious moments, lot of problems, no doubt about it. None of us welcomed it, none of us liked it. But what all I'm trying to say is there may be some good things coming out of a destructive period. After all, there's a word which we call as constructive destruction. We do look for positives even out of destruction. After all, in this country, we envisage the concept of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh all at one time. If Brahma produces, Vishnu sustains, and Shankar destroys. But all these were necessary. So probably COVID also was necessary for some reason to bring the world to a new normal. And I look towards that normal to be much better than what it was. Coming back to the education, as a last sentence, I am a student of computer science. And whenever we get a virus, we have Avast virus remover, have quick kill virus remover. But if the virus is so strong, the only solution left with us is to reformat the computer and restart. I think our education system has been inflicted with a very severe, very strong virus in the form of COVID, and let us use it as an opportunity to reformat our system and not go back to what it was, even when the situation permits so. To take a simple example, very simple example, whether you are in school, college, university, whichever subject, I don't know where from history it came that at the end of every subject, semester or year, there must be a 3-hour theory exam. I could not find any scientific basis of this 3 hours theory exam at the end of the semester or the year. Neither in any religious scriptures nor on internet I could find a basis of this, except that it's a tradition which is coming up. There must have been some basis on which it must have been designed. But today I find there could be possibilities of doing it maybe 2 hours, in some subject 4 hours, in some subject only a group discussion, in some subjects only a project. So maybe we can look at the examination system for each subject separately, and how the libraries can help us. Maybe we give a very open-ended problems. New policy of education gives a lot of thrust on interdisciplinary education. Our libraries at the moment are categorized subject-wise. How does the student find interdisciplinary pockets when he walks into the library? If he's a mechanical engineer, how is he coming across a book of philosophy once in a while? We have to provide some pathways for that to give interdisciplinary research. And the world today is not looking to the interdisciplinary research in the form of mechanical and mining, in the form of philosophy and psychology. No, we want subjects like physics and philosophy to be studied together. We want subjects like mathematics and music to be studied together. Now, how the libraries reinvent themselves to make students accidentally or incidentally come across the subjects which they are not studying and develop interest in them by some conscious effort is a great challenge for inculcating interdisciplinary studies, interdisciplinary research in the coming years. I know of one experiment in a library abroad. Whenever a student come to the library, irrespective of the subject he was studying, they asked, pick 5 books at random belonging to any subject or random search, and then pick one of those 5 books and summarize that book in about 2 weeks' time. Now, a student of mathematics might get a book on philosophy, but then it was a part of academics. So these are the kinds of cultural changes which we will have to bring in academics. And I, for one, very strongly believe no academic changes can come without the active involvement of libraries, librarians, information scientists. And it is in this context I visualize a very strong challenge before my colleagues here, before the delegates of this great conference, and I wish that they are able to meet these challenges not for their profession alone, but for the entire education system of the country. With these few words, I wish this conference a great success, and I thank Dr. Connor and all the other organizers for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this great endeavor. Wish you all the best, and thanks once again.
Sir, thank you very much for a highly motivating talk. I'm sure my fellow librarians are enlightened with your words of wisdom and your call for adapting to the change to serve their patrons better. Your inspiring talk has highlighted the importance of changing attitude that one should have in the service of libraries and its role in promoting the quality of education in this disruptive situation. Thank you very much, sir. Now, I am very delighted and glad to welcome Professor Karisiddappa, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Vishveshwaraya Technological University, Belagavi, and a person known for reforms in technical education and a big lover of library to address the virtual gathering.
Dignitaries on the virtual platform, Professor K.K. Agarwal ji, Honorable Chairman NBA MHRD New Delhi, Professor T.D. Kemparaju, Honorable Vice Chancellor Bangalore North University, keynote speaker Dr. Shankar Venugopal, Vice President Mahindra and Mahindra, Director of this conference Dr. M.G. Srikumar, Chief Librarian and Adjunct Professor IIM Kozhikode, President of today's function Professor B. Rajashekar, Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Hyderabad, the main brain behind this and the President of LIS Academy, Professor P.V. Konnur, who is the organizing chair of this conference, Dr. Varadarajan, University of Librarian of University of Hyderabad, organizing secretary, other dignitaries, keynote speakers, panelists, Dr. Shivaram, the member of LIS Academy, other members of LIS Academy, participants from India and abroad, invitees, galaxy of panels, members of various events, invitees, ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to note that LIS Academy, in collaboration with the University of Hyderabad, is organizing the third LIS Academy conference on reinventing excellence in librarianship, LISACON2020. Vishveshwaraya Technological University, which I represent, was the host of second LIS Academy conference, which was organized at VTU Belagavi campus on 27 June 2019. I am overwhelmed to be part of this conference, and I wish LIS Academy to continue its efforts to strengthen libraries and library science, not only in Karnataka, across the globe. Reinventing excellence in leadership is a very relevant topic today, where libraries are undergoing metamorphic change and librarians need to equip themselves to the change to stay relevant and meaningful. Friends, I personally feel libraries are vital to any education ecosystem, and we are all witnessing transformational changes in libraries, maybe due to technology interventions, changing paradigms in the education system, and the diverse needs of information seekers. All types of libraries facing a constant demand to change their services, delivery mechanisms, technology platforms, and even mannerisms of librarians. I feel libraries and librarians need to work out a strategy to understand the factors which are driving the change, and these changes will motivate many readers to come to your house. That is the learning center. Today, higher education institutes are focusing on designing a curriculum that aims to promote quality education system and to produce knowledgeable, market-ready, skilled workforce. I feel librarians have a major role in sharing his or her vast knowledge of information sources to the curriculum designers. What I mean is, being a librarian, you will have a lot of data in your center. The student visiting, the type of books they refer, the number of hours they sit, the type of reading they carry out every day, their aspirations, their goals, their motivation to learn technologies, etc. All these can be monitored, and this database and data analytics of this should go as a data or a information to the boards of studies so that they provide a meaningful curriculum design. Libraries should pursue creating awareness about their resources, services, especially about the volumes of digital content they are subscribing, especially about the volumes of digital content they are subscribing. Librarians should see to that the return on investment, ROI, and intangible value of investment, VOI, is justified. For example, my university, Vishwesvaraya Technological University, Belagavi, subscribes and spends around 20 crores of rupees annually on various scholarly resources, and I always encourage my fellow librarians to travel the extra mile to deliver the content. I always encourage my fellow librarians to travel the extra mile to deliver this content to end users. Being a lover for libraries, I always insist libraries need to be given due importance. These are the places where young mind should involve in exploring and synthesizing the new knowledge. I do understand libraries, apart from their conventional services, are evolving an experience centers with facilities like makerspace, 3D printing, circuit designing, and discussion hubs, and so on. The libraries should master the skill set and attract more and more users to their library places. Libraries are becoming more interesting and learning places. The knowledge acquiring mechanism has changed. The present generation would sit and love to have the digital interventions in learning and also acquiring knowledge. A lot of information is now available, and converting that information to a knowledge bank is the job of yours. Another important role for the present day librarians is to strengthen the research capabilities of institutes by providing access to various information discovery platforms and research tools. Libraries and librarians can play a vital role in intellectual property management, assisting in identifying research areas through novelty or prior art search, research roadmaps, patenting, copyright registrations, etc. The competitive environment has made education institutions to go for accreditations and ranking frameworks for branding and also to set standards, which demand a variety of data related to institutions, including publication metrics. I feel the libraries need to reposition themselves to handle any kind of data pertaining to their institutions, and maybe it should play a role of office of data to provide single point access to all types of data. The benchmarking of publication metrics will be a great value addition from libraries to the institution and help healthy competition among the institutions. So the data office concept works excellently and exceedingly. It will be very, very useful for the institutions to grow. Friends, as I was going through the program schedule, I find diverse topics of library operations in 6 themes, and each theme containing 6 lectures. I am sure all the sessions will be very wonderful and informative. All the participants will be benefited by this conference. I must congratulate Professor Kannur and his team for this innovative efforts of organizing conference in this unprecedented pandemic time. LIS Academy is known for its quality. It's known to deliver some of the issues which are very close to the users. I must once again thank and congratulate the LIS Academy for its innovative ideas, and especially taking the information to the end users. I feel library is going to be a very important component, that too with digital interventions in extraction of information and also publication. The information with applications like mobile apps, etc., will go a long way in making our students learn continuously and constantly. And a small change in the attitude of ours will go a long way to bring the library and the education system to have a very knowledgeable society. I feel one of the very important component in any educational institution or research organization is the library. The library center can work in very meaningful way to establish a very learning environment and also create curiosity in the end users, or in terms of students or research scholars, etc. So therefore, a very conducive, very well organized and well equipped library will go a long way in the careers of many students. Once again, I wish a great success for this conference, and I am sure this will go long way and also enlighten and ignite the new ideas among the librarians, and definitely this conference will make all of you to share your best practices, case studies, understanding understanding each other, and also coming together, bringing up an excellent team to work to achieve excellence in area of learning and research. With this, I hope this will be a conference to remember, and this will be a conference to have many takeaways. With this, I thank you all for hearing me, and once again, thank LIS Academy for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on the topic. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much for your encouraging words and giving directions for librarians to reposition themselves to unleash their entire potential to serve organization and society more efficiently. Thank you, sir. Now, it is my pleasure and honor to welcome another eminent personality, popularly known as Professor TDK in LIS profession. Professor TD Kemparaju, Honorable Founder, Vice Chancellor, Bangalore North University, who has reached highest position in university setup from our own field to address the participants.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. We are all assembled here to inaugurate this third LISACON 2020 virtual conference entitled Reinventing Excellence in Librarianship, which is going to be held from 27th to 29th August 2019. the very distinguished guest, Professor K.K. Agarwal ji, Honorable Chairman, NBA MHRD, New Delhi, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Visvesvaraya Technical University, Belagavi, Karnataka, Professor Kalisidappa, the President of today's inaugural function, Professor B. Rajashekar, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Hyderabad, the keynote speaker of today's conference, Dr. Shankar Venugopal, the distinguished Vice President, Mahindra Research Valley, Chennai, and the Director of the conference and my good friend and colleague, Dr. M.G. Srikumar, a very distinguished Chief Librarian and Adjunct Professor of the esteemed Institute, known as Institute of Information, Indian Institute of Management, co-secretary, the President of LIS Academy, Professor P.V. Konnur, and also the co-organizer of this today's conference, Dr. Varadarajan, University Librarian, University of Hyderabad, invitees, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. We are all assembling or congregating in a very right situation in which we all of us has to take note of the changes or the developments that are taking place in the field of library and information science. In every subject field, the change is a unique character. We are living in the age of change. It doesn't mean that there was no changes earlier. Earlier also there were changes, but the difference is, in earlier days changes were slow, but today's changes are fast. So like that, we are witnessing a kind of a transition time, and this transition time has demanded all professionals to rethink, replan, and re-strategize our approaches and plan of action about how we are supposed to deliver our works and services in various sectors of libraries and information science. I understand that the organizers have rightly chosen the title of the conference, that is Reinventing Excellence in Librarianship. The word reinventing, we already invented something, experimented something, but the changing environment demands reinvention of new issues, new concepts, new methods, new tools, new theories, and also the new strategies. So, under these circumstances, the societal changes also are very clearly indicated by a changing characters. One of the unique characteristic features of today's society is today's society is a knowledge consciousness society, where the society has recognized the information or the value of knowledge. There is a growing consciousness about the importance of knowledge and importance of information. The second characteristic feature of today's society is it's a quality consciousness society. Everywhere, the concept of quality has been occupied. There is no place without quality. You go to any place, any sector, any areas, people expect a quality in that. So that is why one of the changing characteristic features of today's society is a quality consciousness society. And the third and most important change in character of today's society is it is a technology-driven society. No doubt, technology has made a great, deeper impact on every aspect of human life. There is no areas which was untouched by technologies. So that's why technologies has encroached every part of human activities, every professional activities. In that line, libraries are not an exception. So because any changes are happening, any transitions are happening, one of the vibrant force for these kind of changes, transition or transformation is because of the developments in technologies, particularly the ICTs, and its profitable application to the library and information work. As I mentioned earlier, one of the characteristic features of the today's society is a quality consciousness society. Our focus should be on quality. Quality is the order of the day. Quality and excellence, these are the two unique aspects which is very important in every profession. In education, in medical or social sector or in technology or any sector you take. So the most two predominant factors are one is quality, another one is excellence. The quality is a measure of excellence. So libraries also requires to re-examine our work, our services and our activities from this particular point of view, that is quality information services and also the quality and excellence in our information work. So like that, quality and excellence of our library work and services largely depends on so many factors. Because quality and excellence, if you want to buy and adopt through our various components of the libraries, one of the components of our library to enhance quality or to bring in quality and bring in excellence is through our collections. Collections are the basic, or information resources are the basic component for any libraries. And the development of our library collections plays a very important role, which ultimately lead to decide on the quality and excellence of our library services. So that's how we must establish a kind of quality parameters, excellence parameters, while selecting and acquiring the document, whether print or non-print, for our libraries. Equally, a second important component where we have to reinvent the issues or the procedures is regarding the tools and techniques what we adopt, what we are following in our libraries. So our access tools, delivery mechanisms also requires a kind of a new transition change to provide better quality services and ultimately to achieve the excellence. The third and most important thing is that the quality of manpower. There's a lot of discussion, debate is going on nationally and globally, like in other sectors also in library and information science education. There's a need of quality human expertise or the quality manpower to manage the libraries to meet the changing and challenging needs of our users. So that's how the days have gone that librarian's job is not only just restricted to organizing the collections and also to make a delivery, but even after deliveries, after circulation, so we have to examine about our utility of our collections or our services. So hence, it is high time that we have to bring out a lot of new changes. We have to reinvent the new approaches, how to equip our LIS manpower to meet these changing and challenging situations in our libraries. And the last and most important component is that the quality technologies, quality policies, quality and procedures. So like that library profession, which is passing through the period of transition, definitely we can observe a positive visibility in the shift from print environment into the digital environment. So, and the society is also changing from its traditional social structure, social character to the modern social structure and modern social characters because of impact of technologies. And libraries are also has to take note of the changes or the challenges that has been taking place. So that's how the developments in ICTs has created changes in the roles of libraries. ICTs has changed the work culture of our libraries. So then there is a change in the work culture of libraries. Now we have to bring in or reinvent the new strategies, new philosophy, or new plan of action, and new methods and techniques to achieve our ultimate goals. So libraries have to provide innovative services, and to provide innovative services, we have to equip with the necessary resources, tools, technologies, as well as the human expertise. So another important thing is today is libraries are opening a new or operating in a new information environment. Libraries has to advocate their own relevance with the Google. We always used to say that Google or internet is a complementary or a supplementary for libraries, or either Google or internet is a rival for the libraries. So like that, the time has come, we all of us to re-examine that libraries has to advocate their own relevance when you compare to these Google. So that is why there is a need for reinvention of new generation of our services to meet the new generation needs of the users. So this kind of a situation, what we are all talking about, ultimately make a great impact on the not only social changes or the social developments, but also on the economic development also. So the change or a shift what we have found from even a country like India, where it is the economic structure has been shifted from agriculture-based economy to a knowledge-based economy. So in this context, that is why today's society, I mentioned that one of the unique characters feature of today's society is the knowledge or information conscious societies. And the libraries are related to information environment or the knowledge environment. Definitely, the role of library is also very, very important to contribute its own share for the economic development of this nation. So, if you look at the changes and the challenges for libraries, many of the changes and challenges what we are all discussing since during the last 10 years or decades or more, still there continue to be. One of the changes or the challenges is information explosion. So we are now talking about this, interacting with this information explosion, or how to survive this information explosion environment. Because the biggest question today for libraries is, because information explosion, a large amount of information is available. The problem for libraries and the librarian is what to acquire and what not to acquire. So, but we have to reinvent our further strategies. We have to relook our strategies about acquiring and establish a kind of ownership and not to establish a kind of ownership, but to establish your appropriateness for getting its access. Second challenge is access to published information. Value of information. Every information is having its own value. It has a time value, it's an economic value, and third one is the use values. But all these three values keep on changing because information time factor, if we take what we acquire information today, if you are not use it today, it may become an out of date tomorrow because the timeliness of information is also becoming less and less. Due to the generation of new information, the information of today is going to lose its relevance, meaning, and its value. So that is why the value of information depends on within what time you are going to acquire, and with what time you are going to provide an access to user, within what time the user will going to use it. That is the value of information. That's what Ranganathan said a long back about the value of information in terms of time. Timeliness of information. Every information is a value provided if it is acquired at the right time, provided access at the right time, and used at the right time. That's what Ranganathan said. That is right information to the right user at the right time in the right format. And the unique change today, what we are finding, it was not so during the period of 1980s, 90s, etc. A change or a shift from local access to global access. Earlier, libraries used to have a conservative approaches. They never used to disclose what they are having. They never used to give a free access to others. This was the situation in 1980s, early 1990s. But today, every libraries in the world, they wanted to give an access to other sources. So this kind of a changed approach from local access to the global access, even from the publishers end also, you can find this kind of a access facilities which are predominantly going on. The last one is the democratic access. So I always used to advocate that the libraries are also not only educational centers, but they are also democratic institutions. So when you say free access, that's a democratic access. And this access has increased the scope for reducing the problem of haves and have-nots. Many of the libraries, though they have a need for information, they could not able to acquire, they could not able to give an access. But the growing trend of democratic access and the global access has resolved these kinds of problems, and when it's established that every library can share their own resources with others. So like that, the another change is the change from print to digital, analog to digital, etc. And today, there is a dominant of digital content and digital resources. And fourth one is the striking few force of ICT has been making vibrant changes. The rising interest on e-books, the growing interest on e-books. So one side, the very recently, what we are all experiencing because of the COVID-19, and particularly in the education field, when the students could not be able to get an opportunity of learning inside the classroom, but they could able to learn outside the classroom through this digital teaching, that is this online teaching. We have to be very clear in our approach where the libraries can also reach the unreached people through the e-content or through the e-books. Even the today's generation also, where more of technology side. Today's users are more of technology side. They are very vibrant and they expect everything on the spot. They have no patience to wait. So this is how the e-content or the e-books are very, very essential resource components in the libraries. The day by day, we are seeing in our users' environment, or users' interest, users' choice, user preferences is shifting from print to a digital form. That is called growing interest, rising interest of the e-books. And another important factor is the use of social media such as the internet, library consortia, library softwares, and also the ability to exploit the library resources for the better use. All these things have reshaped the role of libraries, reshaped the structure of libraries. Libraries not necessarily to be identified through the big buildings, the days have gone. But libraries, the strength of libraries is always been determined on the basis of its access potential, use potential, etc. Another important thing in the libraries transition period that is called our delivery mechanisms. So there is a great shift from earlier to today, where earlier times where the user has to travel to the library to use the library, but now the libraries can move to the doorstep of users. There is a shift of delivery mechanism, shift from manual to electronic, ownership to access. All these kinds of remarkable changes which are taking place that will going to determine the development of the new strategies and also invention of our new things. So access, process, storage, all these kinds of issues definitely requires a new approaches. And the national education policies were very recently where the government of India has accepted the report and put it in a public domain for discussion further and also for this implementation. It's very unfortunate that still we need a strong representation, strong place in the report about the role of libraries. We say quality and excellence in education. To bring all the quality and excellence, library contribution is also very important. The role of library is important. Library support is also important. So many of the times, what the students find difficulty to get from a teacher, they can get from the libraries. So that's how libraries continue to be the supporting organizations, supporting institutions for learning, teaching, and also for research. So in the coming days, we're going to find a new kind of libraries, or a new generation of libraries, and these new kind of libraries, new generation of libraries, will going to make a lot of impact, both on teaching, learning, or education, research, and also in business as well as in the developmental activities. So, change in culture of library use and also the increased opportunity of virtual use will going to make a great difference in the use of libraries. So hence, we have to exploit all these opportunities and also the changes as well as the challenges. So future days are the very brighter days for our libraries because not only the technological advantages, on the other side, the changes happening in this society, the increased or the positive attitude shown by the social component towards the libraries, the responsibility of libraries, the responsibility of librarians has been multifold, has been increased. How we have to reach that new generation users and new needs of our users, that we want to establish our role, our presence in a changing environment. Definitely, it requires a new approaches, new strategies, as well as the new techniques, tools, theories, etc. So, sustainable development of library and information service profession is also another unique character. Ladies and gentlemen, changes, challenges, and opportunities will remain to stay. Changes will keep on changing, will going to happen. Challenges will always be there. Today, if you taken 2 challenges or 4 challenges, tomorrow another set of challenges will emerge. And equally, the opportunities will also remain the same. But we must gear up to address these changes and challenges and also to exploit the opportunities. Hence, the libraries must change, libraries must transform. Librarians equally must change in their approaches, in their knowledge level, as well as the skill level. That's what Ranganathan says in his fourth law. Library is a growing organization, a growth or every aspect of the library. That is called not the physical growth of the library, but the growth of the library in reaching the large section of the masses. So that the warning for us, for our profession today is that we must perform, otherwise we will perish, or we must perform and show, otherwise we may find a difficulties. So that's why the future of librarianship will tend to move towards pedagogy than information environment. And in future, libraries will be in such a way that no books, no users inside the library. But there are lakhs and lakhs of documents which are not visible, which are existence in the library, accessible from the libraries. Equally so, there's several users not traveling in a library, but they are using the library virtually. Future libraries, you can say that no books, no users, but there are books, there are users in a virtual environment. So in that line, a lot of discussion, debate is going on around the world about the future of libraries, future of librarians, etc. So we the librarians must attempt to bridge the gaps of understanding or a sense making and accepting the transformation process. Future days for our library profession is always a brighter days and equally a challenging days. Let us prepare for the future. Let us rethink about our approaches. Let us once again, we have to evaluate our strategies and also prioritize our programs through our progressive thinking. So with this only, we can address all our issues and challenges of the coming days with the proper approaches. And I very happy that the coming days where the LIS Academy is organizing this very mega event, though it is a virtual conference, but organizing the conference by inviting the people from various sectors of life is really a unique. It is the first of its kind. I congratulate all the organizers and also co-organizers for taking this initiative, which is one of the historical initiatives. You understand that there's a large number of the senior professionals who are very competent in their respective field of library profession, and they're going to deliver a very unique presentations in the coming days. And I wish this program a grand success. I once again congratulate the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share a couple of issues on this particular topic. So all the best. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much for your insightful speech and bringing out the current scenario of libraries and librarianship, which are witnessing the change in their landscape. Sir, your suggestions and guidance are received with humility, and library professionals will strive hard to strengthen the library profession. Thank you, sir. Now, I am very excited to invite today's keynote speaker, one of the greatest admirers of libraries, Dr. Shankar Venugopal, Vice President Mahindra and Mahindra, to deliver his keynote address.
A very hearty good afternoon, friends. My name is Shankar, and I'm very glad to be with you all here today. And what I thought we could discuss about could be about the future of library itself, how it is shaping up, and how it could possibly evolve into as we move into the future. And when this happens, what will be the new role of us librarians? This is something very important for us to start thinking and start preparing ourselves for. So with this intent, I have picked up this topic for discussion today. And to really start it at the right place, we need to kind of have a good understanding of what are the forces that are really shaping the library of the future. Once we understand these forces, then we'll be able to systematically prepare ourselves, where I have put together 3 very basic rules and 3 models that would help us to prepare ourselves for this future library. And also, most importantly, as a community of librarians, it's important for us to have a roadmap in terms of how we can go from wherever we are today to this future state of the library. And finally, and most importantly, we also need to deliberate what are those critical skills that future librarians would need, and how do we start building those skills amongst us. So this is the plan for my talk today. In terms of introduction to this exciting field of library science, at least for me, since I'm not a professional librarian, so it was a very, very interesting beginning for me. And it all goes back to the foundational work done by Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, who is considered the father of library science. And I come from a physics background, so I was very happy to see this quote that Ranganathan is to library science what Einstein is to physics. And I know what Einstein is to physics. So I was so happy to know that we as a country have produced a person who has made such big contribution to library science. And we all should feel so proud of this fact that the father of library science was born in India. So this is really gives us a very good start to say that we have great potential to further grow this science in India going forward. When we look at the future of library, the way things are shaping up, looks like almost everything about the library will change. But there will be 5 things which may not stay, which may not really change. And these 5 things will still be very relevant even when we get into the future. And those 5 things are nothing but the 5 laws of library science that SRR had created way back. Very simple and very, very practical, centered around the themes that books are of for use. Every reader, his or her book. Every book, its reader. Save the time for the reader, and the library must be a growing organism. These 5 facts, or these 5 fundamental truths, will continue to be the same and continue to be relevant as we get into the future of library. In this last few months of lockdown, all of us being cut away from our favorite workplaces and the libraries, you may think, what is it one can do when you are cut off from all resources, when you are working from home? But friends, interestingly, crisis times like this have given birth to many great new ideas and inventions and new discoveries. Isaac Newton, his college was closed and he was sent back home because of a health crisis way back there. And then when he was back home and when he was cut off from his classroom and library, that's when the historic incident of he sitting under an apple tree and seeing the apple fall and creating the theory of gravity happened. And also, he didn't stop with gravity. He also created the entire theory of optics. And he also developed a powerful tool, calculus, all during a time when he was away from his workplace, away from his learning place, totally cut off from all the resources. And it is during this tough time that he had made such groundbreaking discoveries in science. Some of the most common inventions around us today, like the ballpoint pen or the ATM machine or even the Nescafe, all these were invented during the post-Second World War, when the things were very tough, when people were going through a low phase. It is that time, that tough time, when these inventions were made. It's not only about technology, inventions, and science, even business models. Many new business models, disruptive business models, picked up momentum during crisis times. It was during a financial crisis that somebody thought, can I rent a spare room in my house and make some extra money? That's how Airbnb picked up momentum. Same with Uber. Can I use my car to generate some additional revenue? So crisis times are in fact ideal time for inventions, innovations, and disruptions. So we are going through definitely a crisis time during this last few months, and maybe we could consider using this time to come up with new ideas that would create the library of the future. If you look at S.R. Ranganathan's life, when he was in the UK, he was working very, very hard and he was immersing himself totally in his work. He used to work maybe 12 to 16 hours every day, and even on Saturdays and Sundays. He had visited almost 100 plus libraries and he was totally immersed himself in his work because the whole field he found it so exciting, and he was trying to make some fundamental contributions to that space. And during that phase, one evening, he took a break and went to a toy shop. And in the toy shop, he saw a salesman demonstrating something very interesting. This was called a mechano, which is a mechanical assembly kit, like a building brick, where you have the small metal pieces with holes, and then you connect them and build big structures. When he saw this, that was a trigger for him to come up with a colon classification method, where he thought, can I connect words? Can I connect words to create new terms, new phrases? That way, we'll be able to expand to include a lot of new topics, because we are just building something new by connecting a bunch of independent words. So with all this deep immersion and so many ideas floating in his head, it was during a break time when he saw this mechano that eureka moment happened, and he was able to come up with one of his greatest contribution, which is the colon classification. We have seen such creative moments in the lives of many other people. Newton we already talked to when he saw the apple fall and connected that with gravity. And the famous chemist Kekule, in fact, when he had to discover the structure of benzene, he discovered it. Actually, the trigger came for him in his dream when he saw a snake trying to catch its own tail. So many times, friends, the creative spark happens after you have totally immersed yourself in the work, and then you have taken a break, and then when you are trying to totally stay away from that domain and think of something else, that time the subconscious mind offers a trigger, and that leads to a new discovery. So whether it's in physics or chemistry or in library science, you see this happening again and again and again. So friends, when you are set yourself to make big contributions in your own domain, I would love to remind you that it's very important for you to keep some space, keep some time for creativity, so that you'll be able to look at things from a fresh perspective and come up with innovative approaches to the problems that you're trying to solve. This is very, very important. During the mid-March, just 2 weeks after the lockdown started, Mr. Anand Mahindra gave an interview to Economic Times, where he reminded us that this is the time that we should reboot, reinvent, and reignite ourselves. He said, he in fact challenged us to say, can we use the lockdown period to relook at personal and professional way of life, to prepare ourselves for the future and to serve the post-corona world? So let's think about how the post-corona library would be, what new practices we need to bring, what new products and solutions we need to bring for a post-corona library. Same way, can we use the downtime to actually look at the way we do things and ask ourselves, is there a better way to do? This is also the time, friends, for us to come up with new ideas and innovations, and taking advantage of this crisis to dream bigger dreams about the future, and raising ambitions once the crisis has passed. So this is the right time for us to start ideating about the library of the future and start shaping our ideas towards enabling it. Libraries have played a very key role in my life. If I look at the libraries that shaped my learning, I can think of three libraries. The one which was at the Sri Sathya Sai University at Prashanti Nilayam, where I did my master's in physics. It was one of the best libraries that I had come across, the best collection of books, and in a very, very user-friendly manner, the books were arranged. And the three librarians whom I got to interact with during my master's 2 years there, Srinivasan, Mahalingam, Dr. Jogiraju, who was also doing his PhD in library science at the time. They're some of the best librarians that I have come across. So the library is always a combination of its collection of books and the personality of the librarians who run the library. So this was a library that I remember with a lot of fondness and affection. The next library that played a very, very big role in my life is the JRD Tata Memorial Library, which is at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Currently, this library is led by Dr. Ananda Bhairappa. This is a beautiful library. I have spent many, many hours in this library. Not only during my PhD days, even after my PhD days, I spent many long hours in the library, writing some of the best papers in my career. All were done in this particular library. This library used to close up about 11 in the night and used to be one of the last guys to leave the library. This library, as I talk to you, it brings such good memories to me. So this is right at the heart of the IISc campus. When you walk in there, this will be one of the very first things that you will get to see. And of course, the third library is what I am part of today. And this is what we call as a Knowledge Resource Center, the library at Mahindra Research Valley in Chennai, where I am currently based. I've been in this for a little more than 4 years. And this library is led by one of the most passionate librarians that I've come across so far. And his name is Ashutosh Joshi. He's so well networked, well connected, that he's able to reach out to librarians across the country and sometimes even outside the country to cater to the needs of the users of the library. Is most passionate and most resourceful librarian that I've come across. So these three libraries are libraries which have really made a big impact in my career and my life. And I owe a lot of my success in my career to these three libraries. When I think of libraries, what also comes to my mind is the people behind the books, the people behind the library. Two people that I think of very, very vividly. The person on the left, you see, he is Mr. Alvar. He was running a old bookshop in Mylapore, Chennai, where I did my undergraduate in physics. This is a small roadside bookshop. There is no shop as such, just a pile of books on the roadside. And if you look at him, he doesn't have a chair. He's actually sitting on a pile of books. And that is Mr. Alvar. And you can see he's so simply dressed. But you know what? He was one of the most knowledgeable person when it comes to books. Any book you go to him and ask him for, he'll be able to locate it and get it for you. Even look at this collection, how it is all piled up. But he knows every single book where it is. And there have been very rare occasions when he says that some book is not available or he cannot get it. There is a 99.9% probability that he will get you the book. Amazing. This person lived his entire life with books. And he was ably assisted by another person that you see here, who is wearing a white dhoti and a light blue shirt. So his name is Iyer. You don't know what his real name is, just call Iyer. So once you pick up the book, you go to Iyer and you ask him how much you need to pay. And he knows exactly the right price of that book. Amazing, because some books are in very bad shape, but those are very rare books. You'll be desperately needing those books, and Iyer knows exactly the value of that book, and he'll demand you the precise amount for it. So it was this combination of Alvar and Iyer who are making all the best books available to us during our student days. Amazing how much one person can do for book lovers. This is what the combination of Alvar and Iyer shows. In fact, I've shown one of the books, one of the best in my collection that I could get thanks to him. It was a book on atomic physics by J.B. Rajan with a foreword by the famous physicist Louis D. Broglie. Can you imagine such a rare book? He could get it for me, and I really cherish these memories. On the right side, there is another librarian whom I think of very, very fondly. And she is a lady, a frail looking but very strong lady, whom you can see here in this group photo. She is the one at the front with a pink color sari, dark pink sari. Her name is Miss Saroj. She is a librarian at the Venture Center of Pune. She is an amazing librarian in the sense that she used to always connect with every single user of the library. She exactly knows what each one of us like and keep sharing with us a lot of interesting information on not only the latest books, but also some of the books that she knows that we would really like. Her book recommendations are 100% right every time. And typically, I'm a very serious looking person. I rarely crack jokes and I really have very minimal words I speak. But she found that actually I like a particular book, which is what I show you here, Shel Silverstein's Everything on It. This is one of the most best collection of humorous poems that you'll ever come across anywhere in life. And she introduced me to this book and a whole collection of books of Shel Silverstein, which has made a big, big difference to my life. Today at home, we have some of these books and we sit together as a family, read this page by page and laugh out loud. This is one of our best stress buster. So this lady was able to understand the book needs of every single person who visits her libraries and recommend and sometimes even introduce totally new books. Because I always used to take books on technology or management. I never thought that she would know that I would be interested in a book like this. Even I didn't know. But she suggested and turned out to be one of the best discoveries in my life. So that way, the librarians, the booksellers, lovers of books can really make a big difference in our lives. So it's very, very, this is one of the most sacred profession that we can ever think of. For the last 2 years at Mahindra, I have been organizing something called the Future of Library. We did this first session in 2019 and we managed to do in 2020 also, just before the lockdown. What essentially we do in this annual conference is bring together the librarians, but both from industry and academia together, and have 2 days dedicated only to brainstorm on ideas of the future library and also to reskill ourselves so that we are able to strengthen all the skills that we need for building the future library. So 2019, we had, in fact, Dr. Ananda Bhairappa of IISc Library giving the keynote address, and it was attended by almost 30 librarians across different parts of the country. And we had rich ideation and brainstorming on Library 4.0, and we brought out a white paper and a lot of actionable ideas out of this particular conference. More recently, in 2020, we did a second version of this, where the focus was specifically on reskilling librarians. Again, we publish white papers, we have a working list of very rich ideas, and we also have a roadmap in terms of how we can take our own library from where it is today to this future state. And technology is just one part of it. We had covered many other interesting aspects of this future library. So I will definitely share some of these ideas and insights during the course of this talk today. So 2 years we have done this, and we look forward to doing this every year. And I look forward to inviting each one of you who's attending this conference to be part of this event. We would love to host each librarian here at the Mahindra Research Valley campus, which is at the outskirts of Chennai. It's a beautiful green campus with the lakes and hillocks in the background. And this is where we plan to spend 2 days every year just to think about and brainstorm on the future of library. So when we do this in 2021, I would love to host each one of you for this event. So I really look forward to meeting you all in person in 2021. Let's shift gears and get into the core of this talk, which is starting with understanding what are the forces that are shaping the future library. If you look at the way the library is evolving, the content, which was traditionally physical, has moved to a combination of physical and digital over the years. And going forward, we are also seeing more of AR and VR, augmented and virtual reality based tools to give the experience for the users. From a people perspective, the traditional library, which was managed by the librarian and the staff, the team. Now, over the years, we have seen more and more IT automation happening to this, making it easier for the librarian and the team to manage the library. Going forward, we also see a real big opportunity and a transformation in terms of AI assisted, artificial intelligence assisted library management, which can really take it to the next highest level. In terms of resources, the resources were very limited in the past. The trend is more and more resources being made available. It has become an organizational priority to build a state-of-the-art library because we need to really build capability in emerging technologies and create a lot of new knowledge. So companies like Mahindra have really prioritized capability building and built some of the best libraries available in the country. Going forward, there's more resources to further scale up and it become actually global resources. I'll explain what I mean by this as we get into the presentation in a few minutes. The utilization of the library, if you see, was fairly limited in the past, and slowly it has expanded over the years, and we are tending towards a global utilization. So very briefly, I'll share some examples of what I mean by global resources and global utilization. But a fundamental philosophical shift that will happen to the library is in terms of the value itself that the library is going to create for its users. In the past, the value was information. And slowly, over the years, this information has actually gone up the value chain and become knowledge. That's the stage we are in. And going into the future, this knowledge would go up further in the value chain and would really become wisdom. So this is the thought that I want to describe in little more detail in my next chart. What I mean by this, because we need to understand this right. This is a fundamental philosophical shift, a very basic transformation that's going to drive the library of the future. In the past, information was a very scarce commodity. So libraries basically offered information in different ways through books and journals and magazines and reports and databases and whatnot. But the value they were creating was by providing information. When we talk about knowledge, it is not just information. It is processed information, actionable information, information at the next higher plane. And when we talk about wisdom, it's even one level higher, which is actionable knowledge. In the sense, if you are trying to solve a problem, wisdom is the final solution itself with all the insights built into it. So how do we go up the value chain? Instead of creating value through just information, how do we create value through knowledge? And how do we create value through wisdom? This is the biggest question for every librarian. to start thinking about. In the past, whatever we did as librarians was transactional in nature. Going forward, it will be participatory in nature, where it is not just a transaction between the librarian and the user, but it's a collaboration between the librarian and the user of the library. That's what I mean by participatory. Of course, when we move to the future, it will be built on 100% collaboration and co-creation of everything. The librarian and his team and the users of the library will become one single entity, and everything they do will be built on collaboration and co-creation. A lot of the activities that we did in the past was controlled by humans, and currently from human control, we are moving into human-centered processes, human-centered initiatives, human-centered products and services. Going into the future, it won't be just human-centered, it will also be augmented by artificial intelligence and machine learning. If to see the impact of this, if we think that the amplification today is 1x, the next stage it will be a 10x amplification versus a 1000x amplification when we reach this future library, which is delivering the value of not just information or knowledge, but actually wisdom, which is actionable knowledge. So this is a very, very fundamental force that is driving the future of library. And all of us need to understand this, because this forms the foundation of all other transformation that the libraries will be going through. In terms of technology that are enabling these big changes, there are a few technologies fairly disruptive in nature, also technologies which are growing exponentially very, very fast. It's not only the performance is growing exponentially, the cost of this technology is also falling exponentially, so that it becomes affordable and accessible for all librarians across the world. And these technologies are, I'm sure you're all familiar with many of the technologies here, like the mobile internet, the cloud, the Internet of Things, energy storage, clean energy based on renewables, robotics, AI, artificial intelligence, a whole bunch of technologies which are creating innovative and disruptive products and solutions. And these are some of the technologies which will also be the building blocks for the future library. I've just picked up a few of this to illustrate to you how they will really make a difference to the library. But one thing that's clear, we are talking about a connected world. A lot of the technologies and a lot of the applications they enable will be built on access to internet. Internet connectivity is right at the foundation. So if you look at the Maslow's pyramid of hierarchical needs, suddenly you see that internet has entered right at the base of the pyramid. So if your physiological safety, belonging, esteem, self-actualization, all the needs are met, but internet connectivity is not there, you're still not going to be happy. So a lot of the things that we are going to talk about is based on affordable and accessible connectivity to every single person out there, irrespective of where he is, what he is doing. So let us look at the 3 rules that will help us as librarians to transition into the future. The first rule is something that you always knew and you have been practicing, which is to know your customer. Very simple, very basic. There is no rocket science about it in terms of the importance of knowing your customer. If you look at who your customer is today in the library, the person who walks into your library can be either a digital native or a digital immigrant. When I say digital native, children and young people were born into and raised in a digital world, typically post 1980. May work, study, and interact in very different ways from people like us who are digital immigrants. In the sense, we are from a different generation. Though we have learned digital technologies, we speak these technologies with an accent. It's not natural to us. We are not native speakers. We have learned and we have adapted ourselves to digital technologies. The advent of new digital technologies have changed these young people so essentially that they think and process information fundamentally in a manner which is very, very different from the way we do. So these are native speakers of the digital language of computers, video games, and the internet. If you have a school going or college going kid at home, you know what I'm talking about. These are the digital natives, and we are the digital immigrants. I've shown 3 pictures here to illustrate how different it is to be a digital native. So the father is asking the standard person, how was your day at the school? And the kid says, you can read all about it on my blog. Imagine, this kid is so tiny, has a blog to share her experience on what happened in the school. And then there is this second digital native, a tiny kid comes back home and he is very furious. He is telling his mom, how do you think my first day of kindergarten was? They didn't even have Wi-Fi. So these kids depend on connectivity, the internet connectivity so much, they can't even imagine a few moments without connectivity. And here is this kid in the third frame, his first day at school. The parents are at home wondering how is he managing his first day at school. And then they see that he is already tweeting them what is happening in the school. So he is constantly live tweeting all the things that he is experiencing at the school. And the parents at home, they're able to stay connected with him. So friends, these are not just some funny jokes. These are not some future states. These are very true of the digital natives. And these are the future users of your library. These are the kids who are going to come to your library and look for the library experience. So when you are creating a future library, you need to keep these customers in mind, understand what they value the most, what they are comfortable with, and what they are not, to make sure that your library is able to serve the needs of these customers. And interestingly, we have a combination of both digital natives and immigrants using our library. So we need to have features that cater to the needs of both these types of users. So that makes it a little more complex. The second rule is to empower your customer. So the customer could be digital native or digital immigrant. Either way, you need to empower your customer. There are very interesting experiments that are going on across libraries in the globe in terms of empowering customers. So here is an example of the library at the Portland State University, which runs this project called a do-it-yourself library. If you visit their portal, you'll be able to see how they are able to empower their users. As soon as the user gets into this website, he's able to navigate through the library and its offerings, and he's able to customize every single thing for his specific needs. And it's entirely a do-it-yourself spirit with which this library has been designed. And it's a great experience to go through this particular library here. And this is just one example. There are many such interesting experiments that are being tried out. So this is what I mean when I say empowering your customer. This is the right time for us to introduce radical trust, a shared model between the user and the librarian. We refer to this as participatory librarianship, where the effectiveness of the future library is a combination of 3 things: books and all the stuff that's there in the library, plus the people, plus a new factor which we call as the trust factor. And the summation of these 3 is further amplified by multiplying it with the participation level. And it is this interesting formula that defines the effectiveness of the future library. What it means is, by involving the users in designing and running the library across several key areas, whether it's referencing, collection development, strategic planning, publicity. At every stage, the participatory library is on a larger scale outside the physical and virtual walls of the conventional library. So this is a very, very powerful model where we are not separating the users from the library, but we are looking at the user, the library, the librarian, and the trust they have within themselves as one single entity, and focus on enhancing the participation levels, which will in turn translate to a more useful library, a library with a bigger impact. So you may wonder, all this is nice to hear. What should I do? How should I go about redesigning my library such that it is ready for the future? This is where we'd like to introduce a very powerful methodology called design thinking, which is what you could very easily use to make sure that your library is geared up for the future. Here I have a small case study, which is based on a library that was designed for teens. You know that teenagers are people not very easy to understand, very easy to deal with. So a bunch of librarians wondered why teenagers never come to the library. This is a kind of one of the classic problems in the library world, that libraries are unable to attract the teenagers. So if you're trying to solve this problem using design thinking, the very first thing you do is to empathize with the users. In this case, to empathize with the teenagers, understand what are those constraints that prevent them from coming to the library. So to do this, they went to the teenagers, interviewed them, spoke to them at length. Many workshops they conducted at various schools and colleges, and a lot of weekend activities in clubs. They understood. One thing they understood, which was a kind of a rude awakening for them, is the teenagers told they didn't feel welcome or they didn't feel comfortable in the library. It's a kind of a very fuzzy statement. You don't know what is it that makes them feel not welcome or not comfortable in the library. But that is the voice of the customer. That's what the teenagers said. So once empathize is over, the next stage you move to in design thinking is to define the problem that you need to solve. This typically starts with how might we. So how might we involve the local teams in transforming the library into a place where they feel welcome and comfortable? Look at this statement. It's not about you solving the problem. It is about you as a librarian involving the users or the future users, the teenagers in this case, involving them to transform the library so that they feel welcome and comfortable. So once the defined part was done, we move into ideation, where we look at what all ideas can we create to address this particular problem. So they came up with many ideas based on a lot of brainstorming sessions. They installed digital boards in the schools. Everywhere they set up, they put a lot of post-its where people could share ideas. Hundreds of ideas started flowing in. And then they merged these ideas and came up with very strong concepts, about 10 in number. And they asked these teenagers to vote for these ideas and selected the best one. And once the idea was selected, the next stage in design thinking is to prototype the idea. So the prototype, the winner idea, which was called the Chocolate Corner. Chocolate Corner is basically a remake of the library with a lot of soft furnitures, board games, playstations, an electric tea kettle, and mugs, and a provision for making hot chocolate within the library itself. Once prototyping is done, the next stage is testing. So here, the teams helped out by decorating and choosing the furniture and helped to shape the space itself in the library. The value of the cozy corner with hot chocolate is greater than just having a special treat. Creates a sense of ownership and community. They feel that space is theirs and they have something there that they chose and designed, and they can all hang out there together. It's a nice, cool place. And this is a real project that was done and became very successful. It attracted a lot of young students, high school students and college students to this library. So that this model was replicated across the country. This happened somewhere in Holland, Denmark, one of these countries where they felt that it is a priority to expose the value of library, value of spending time in the library to their youngsters, especially the students who are in high school and college. So this was a library that was built, designed for the teens using the design thinking framework of empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. This is a very, very powerful framework. I'm sure many of you, we did this in when we conducted the Mahindra Future of Library event in 2019 and 2020. We introduced design thinking for all the librarians, and we did a lot of idea generation using this powerful framework. For those of you who want to really use design thinking for your library, there are a lot of very rich resources available. Here, I've given the website, and there's an amazing handbook on design thinking for libraries. I would encourage you to download this handbook and the free toolkit and train your team to apply design thinking principles for redesigning and recreating the future library. This is very easy, it's a lot of fun, and it will give you tremendous satisfaction to generate new ideas using the design thinking methodology. So you have empowered your users and you have involved your users. Now it's also important to empower yourself. You, the librarian, should feel like a Superman because of the empowerment that you have done for yourself. And this empowerment is not through a bigger budget or anything fancy, but it is through technology. It is basically you learning certain new technologies that will make your life easier and make your work very, very impactful and highly efficient and effective. One of the big technologies that you as a librarian have to start leveraging is what we refer to as big data, the data analytics, the power of using AI and machine learning in the domain of data science. As a librarian, where it can help you is in terms of reach, improving the reach, improving the relevance, and also in terms of building resilience in your work processes. This approach, once you are able to master big data analytics, you'll be able to get a lot of very valuable customer intelligence, which will drive a lot of your new idea generation. And it will help you to prioritize the right initiatives for your library. The other trend is to have experiential learning made possible in the labs. The labs will be there in the library. Can you imagine a lab right at the center of the library? This is a very interesting trend because we talked about libraries moving from information to knowledge to wisdom. So when we talk about moving from information to knowledge, a lot of it is experiential learning. That's why we need to have labs right in the library. This is a project which was done by the University of Rhode Island. They built an artificial intelligence lab right inside the university library. It was right at the heart of the library that this AI lab was created. It's a highly interdisciplinary space that values inclusivity. So a library where everybody walks in all through the day is the right place to have such a lab. The AI lab basically at this university offers students and instructors the chance to learn new computing skills, encourage them to deepen their understanding of artificial intelligence, and also explore how it might affect their lives through a series of talks and workshops. So it is not only a lab, but a very vibrant place where people walk in and use the space to explore this new technology, try out new applications, try problem solving. It's a very, very active, vibrant place right at the heart of the library. This is about 600 square feet of lab that they have created inside the library. And they are able to bring in a lot of new technologies like robotics, natural language processing, ideas for building blocks for smart cities, smart homes, IoT, big data, All these labs are situated within the library. So this is a very interesting trend where the library not only has books and other resources, but also gives a space in the form of a lab for people to take their learning to the next higher level by giving experiential opportunities to learn new technologies. The third important technology for a librarian would be blockchain. I'm sure many of you would have heard about blockchain and you'd be fairly curious as to what it is. And the perspective from which I look at it from a library perspective is it could be used to build an enhanced metadata system for libraries and data centers. It will help you to keep track of digital first sale rights and ownerships, to connect networks of libraries and universities, and it will even help you to support community-based borrowing and skill sharing programs. There are a lot of resources that I have put together in terms of helping you to adapt and apply blockchain in your own libraries. And there is one link that I have included here. There are a few more that I have in my reference chart, which is towards the end of this presentation. Having looked at the three rules, which is to know your customer, empower your customer, and most importantly, empower yourself, I wanted to shift gears and introduce three powerful models which will bring connectivity to your library. It will make your library a connected library. How do we do this? Because the library of the future is a connected library. So what models can you adapt to transform your library into a connected library? Let's look at these three models. The first model is what I would refer to as the Matilda model. This is where the library actually connects with a cause, a very important cause, which is the library's role to enable self-paced learning and lifelong learning. For those of you who have seen the movie Matilda or read the book, you know about the small girl who didn't have the chance to go to a school, but she went to a library, read almost all the books in the library, and educated herself. So this is Matilda. Matilda may be a fictional character, but there is a real world character who is on the right side, who is Scott Young. Scott Young is a real person who did his computer science education from MIT in a virtual mode. He didn't attend classes at MIT. He didn't take 4 years to complete his undergraduate in computer science. He attended online classes, read the books that is shown here, and he completed the entire 4-year program in just 1 year. Just 1 year instead of 4 years. And that too, it's a MIT computer science undergrad program. And can you guess how much you spent for it? He spent only $2,000 for this entire education. And he has passed and qualified himself every single subject that goes into build a 4-year curriculum. So this is what I mean when I talk about self-paced learning. This is very important. Libraries can be those enablers which will help people who don't have the privilege of going to a university or affording an expensive education to educate themselves at their own pace. So library can play the role of a university. What I mean by lifelong learning, there was a time when we learned, then joined the industry and kept using our knowledge and kept working. But today, the pace with which new technologies are coming in, we have to constantly be learning because there is so much to learn and there's so little time. So if I want to work till the age of 60, I have to learn till the age of 60. I have to continuously keep learning. So I can't take a break, go back to university and learn, but I should be able to learn in a more flexible mode, in a more self-paced mode. How do I do that? That's where libraries can play a very, very big role in terms of not only helping students, but even working professionals and anybody and everybody with the aspiration to learn, libraries can become the universities which will give them flexibility and offer affordable and accessible education. So this is what I call as a Matilda model, where the library connects with a cause. Let's look at yet another model, which I call as the Airbnb model, which is that the library connects with the resources. What do you mean by that? So you know that Airbnb is the largest hotel, the whole world. Can you imagine how many rooms this hotel has? It has 6 million rooms in 81,000 cities across the globe. So Airbnb makes available to you 6 million rooms across the globe. But you know what? They don't own a single room. It's you and I who are registering ourselves at Airbnb and making available that spare room in our house. That's how the Airbnb model works. If we extend that model to a library, the library becomes a platform that connects people who want some information, knowledge, or a book with other people who have that information, knowledge, or book. So library becomes a platform to connect the people who have with the people who need. For example, if you look at me, I have such a large collection of books at home, but at any given time, I may not be reading more than 2 or 3 of these books. But can I really share all the other books with all others world who want to use these books? If everyone like me can do that, imagine how rich, how much access we will have to books at almost zero cost. So can library be such a connecting platform? That's what I mean when I say libraries need to connect with resources. And this is the simple and successful Airbnb model. I have just one more model to share, which is the decathlon model. So friends, we looked at 2 models where the library can become a connected library. The first model was to connect with a cause, which is the Matilda model, where the library can play the role of a university offering affordable and accessible higher education to customized education for every single individual. Second model is something quite interesting in terms of what a library can do based on an Airbnb model, where the library connects with resources across and becomes a platform for connecting people who have the information with the people who need the information. I have just one more model to suggest. The third model is what I call as a decathlon model. I don't know whether you had the chance to walk into a decathlon sports goods shop. Especially, I'm not very knowledgeable in sports, but my daughters, they are very active in sports. So whenever I have to buy something, some sports items for them, I walk into a decathlon shop with very minimal knowledge of what to look for and how to compare 2 products and how to buy the right product. But when I go in there, typically what happens is one of the decathlon staff approaches me and asks me what I want. And once I say what is it that I want, they help me to understand and compare products, their features, and spend a lot of time with me till I'm satisfied and pick up the right product. Once I'm done with that, they also suggest what other accessories I would need and what else I can actually look at in terms of related purchases. And this person stays with me till I complete all the purchase and get to the cash counter for the bill payment. So you can see a lady here in a blue and white uniform. That's a decathlon staff explaining a product to the customer. So when I talk about a decathlon model for the library, I'm wondering how, when a user walks into the library, how we can give a similar experience. Because some users may be very knowledgeable. They may know what they want. Some other user may not be knowledgeable. They have to figure out what they want and where to find it. So it'll be nice if there is somebody in the library who can help them with that. So In a traditional library, it could be the librarian or one of the staff members who would help the users. But in a future library, if you look at how technology can help us to do that, I've shown two pictures. This is typically what you would see in some of the high-tech museums. The top one you see, there are two ladies wearing a headgear and looking at a painting. Because of the headset, you get to hear all about that painting, and it's also done in many different language options, so that you'll be able to stroll around the museum at your own pace and understand each and every painting that's out there. So this gives you a lot of freedom, and it's a very rich experience. And if you look at the other image I have shown below, that's basically a HoloLens. You wear this, and then there is a holographic image of a person who's actually a guide, which pops up. It's a virtual image, and then starts describing to you the painting that you are looking at. So libraries can have the equivalent of this, what you would find in a high-tech museum, to help the users understand their needs, understand their preferences, and help them with the right recommendations, right knowledge, right orientation, so that the overall experience in the library is a very pleasant experience for the user, so that they look forward to coming back to the library again and again. So this is what I call as a decathlon model, where the library connects with the users either through technology or through people. But this is very, very important when you're talking about a future library. All this is fine. We have ideas, we have rules, we have models, but we need to create a roadmap to find how. Suppose you want to go from Chennai to Delhi. First you need to know that you are at Chennai. You need to know that you have to go to Delhi, and then find the route to go from Chennai to Delhi. Same way, when you talk about a future library, we need to know where we are today, and we need to know where we want to go, and then look at the various routes through which we can go from here to there. And this roadmap, you're not going to do it alone or just with your team as a librarian, but you are going to co-create this roadmap with all your users. This is the right way to co-create a roadmap for the future library. You would look, first of all, you will survey customers and staff and understand what are their expectations. You do a lot of interviews of library, city, and technology leaders, understand what are those enabling technologies. You'll come up with a lot of ideas. You'll prototype processes and journey maps. You'll create focus groups. You'll do a lot of IT assessments. You will study the trends. You'll borrow the best practices. You'll create technology visions. And finally, you will create the future state and the roadmap. So what is evident here is the design thinking framework that we start our conversation with is what is going to enable to reach the state of the future library. So you start with empathizing with your users, defining the problems that you need to solve, ideating, creating a lot of innovative ideas, prototyping this, and testing and validating to make sure that your users actually see value in these ideas. So the roadmap, which every librarian should co-create with the users and have a live roadmap in your office. This is a combination of you working along with your users and using digital technology, creating a lot of innovative ideas and also disruptive models. This is where the three rules of knowing your customer, empowering your customer, and empowering your user becomes the guiding principles when you drive innovation. Finally, when you're talking about the disruptive models, that's where the three connected library models is of help. To do all this, definitely you need to acquire certain skills. You may have some of these skills, you may have to further strengthen. And you may not have some of these skills, you may have to acquire them, learn from scratch. But these skills are a must-have. All the skills listed on this chart are very important for you to realize your vision of a future library. The first is a set of three thinking skills: critical thinking, design thinking, and innovative thinking. Today, we had a chance to talk about design thinking. On a future occasion, I'll definitely spend more time on critical thinking and innovative thinking with all of you. Maybe we could do this when you all visit us for Future of Library 2021 to the Mahindra Research Valley. We can spend maybe a day training ourselves in both critical and innovative thinking. Certain basic skills and attributes that you all need to have would cover curiosity. Everything starts with you being curious about knowing things, followed by creativity, your willingness to collaborate, your focus on your customers, and your ability to manage large scale change, and your ability to communicate both within your team and with your key stakeholders and all your users and customers. In terms of specific technology skills that you need to acquire, data analytics is the most important skill because you process a lot of data and you would find this technology most useful for your work. Then you need to familiarize yourself with artificial intelligence. AI assisted library management is a whole field by itself that you need to expose yourself to. Blockchain, I very briefly touched upon, and I'll be sharing a lot of resources for you. Then you need to be very comfortable in maintaining your blogs and optimizing your social media interactions. Then you also need to explore a lot of advanced search techniques, and you need to pick up basic coding skills. And what becomes most important is your learnability, ability to learn new things, the flexibility, the willingness to learn, which is all captured under the word learnability. And this is what will make you a great leader amongst the community of librarians. So these are some of the skills that I could think of, and I thought we would consciously put together this list and explore all opportunities to learn and practice these skills going forward. There could be a few more. If you talk to other experts in your domain, they may be able to mention a few more. But this is a small list that I could think of based on what I have seen happening in my own domain. So to summarize what we talked about today, what will definitely be very relevant going into the future would be the 5 laws of library science that Dr. Ranganathan talked about. So that will definitely be the guiding principle as we get into the future library. But what will change? Almost everything else will change. That's the interesting part. But as long as we are guided by these 5 laws, I think we won't get lost. We'll be able to manage and reach the future library state. Let me just remind you of the 3 rules: know your customer, empower your customer, and empower yourself. And the 3 models: connect with the cause, connect with the resources, and connect with users. I think if we remember these 3 rules and 3 models, I think we are in good shape and we'll be able to achieve our ambition of creating the future library. And if you have any doubt at any stage, you know what to do. As J.K. Rowling says, when in doubt, go to the library. So I wish you all success in your journey, in your endeavor to create the future library. I want to thank Dr. Pandurang Kannur, Dr. Ananda Bhairappa, and all planners and key officials of this particular conference who have put their heart and mind together to create this LISACON 2020 conference, and for having given me this opportunity to share my thoughts with you as a keynote talk today. And I hope it was something useful, and I'd be most happy to stay back and answer any questions that you may have related to this presentation. So wishing you all success in this journey of creating the future library. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. We are fortunate to listen to your keynote address and understand users' perspective of today's libraries. I am sure your expectation and idea of library will give a new direction for my fellow librarians to convert libraries into experience centers where users can enrich their knowledge. Thank you, sir. Now, I request Dr. M.G. Srikumar to play his second role as LIS keynote speaker and address the virtual gathering with a talk on conceptualizing and designing a sustainably agile and resilient 21st century library.
Good afternoon. At the outset, I would like to congratulate and thank the LIS Academy and in particular Professor Kundu for this opportunity to speak in LISACON on the theme Reinventing Excellence in Librarianship. My talk is on conceptualizing and designing a sustainably agile and resilient 21st century library. I would like to, in this, I would like to cover my objective, the mission statement, the changing world of libraries, trends in libraries, the new learning environment, imagining the future, the characteristics and strategies of the 21st century libraries, something called Blue Ocean strategy, importance of being agile and resilient, and some of the focus areas I would like to suggest for 21st century libraries. So the objective is actually to make the library the hub of knowledge consumption, collaboration and creativity, frontline research support, state-of-art technology, a center for imagination and innovation, which nurtures the culture of entrepreneurship, ventures, incubators, and startups. I would like to put forth the mission statement of the library as 1. Advance knowledge through research and innovation, guide learning, and inspire curiosity. I would like to quote Einstein, where he says that I never teach my pupils, I only attempt to provide conditions in which they can learn. So if you look at, this is exactly what these 21st century libraries are trying to do. So this picture depicts a perfect blending of the tradition and modernity. The traditional library, blended with the modern digital systems. So this is exactly, this kind of a hybrid model will be the best one to suggest for the 21st century. And if we look at the libraries have been changing over the years. Libraries have been changing from a place to a space. It has been a gradual change, but it has a visible change. Libraries are now happening places. But if you look at the major stakeholders are like the physical ambience, the collections, the facilities, the services, and the administration part of it. Libraries do a lot of strategies, systems, and services in order to support its parent organization in its endeavors in imparting, creating, and preserving knowledge. Library systems and services are, when you look at holistically, a hybrid model, as I was mentioning, is the best advocate. Libraries should be at the center of research, teaching, publishing, and the center for disruptive innovation. And in this process, libraries follow a lot of workflows and systems for their collection development and collection management. And it uses a number of interfaces and relationships for seamless access, retrieval, discovery, and delivery of services. If you want to categorize all the activities of a library, it can be mainly categorized into business processes and user experience. And the business processes involve budget management to collection development to metadata creation to collection management to content aggregation, systems and integration. And then the user experience comprise a variety of activities centering around discoveries, right from the indexes to the most advanced web-scale discovery services, personalization aspects, personalization, how to personalize the services so that they can reuse the sessions, and the assessment of the usage and the analytics for decision making for future subscriptions or continuity of subscriptions or cessation of subscriptions, etc. Library also does a lot of support for research and academic support in terms of digital scholarship, authoring support, publishing support, research data management, impact factor enhancing support, academic support, open access, open research, and open science support. And of late, we find libraries doing a lot of interesting services centering around creating the library ambience as an innovation center, maker spaces, recreation centers, innovation labs, startups, entrepreneurship centers, etc. So this is what actually libraries are doing these days. We find a lot of interesting trends that is happening in the library. For example, we are moving from totally physical to a totally virtual. This can be too much of an ambitious statement, but overall feeling is that the library collections are moving, libraries are moving virtual, all the facilities and media. And the individual focus is now shifting to community focus. Collection library is moving to creation library, because library is no longer a place for just consumption or reading and reference facility. It is used for knowledge creation and knowledge co-creation. It is the entire portal of the library can be seen now changing to much focused focus. So the mandate of the library is actually meticulous resource management to seamless resource discovery delivery solutions that is all across available, whether it is in campus or off campus. So the learning environment and activities, if you look at library, has to have a welcoming and inspiring ambience. We need to redefine the library as a space or library as a place. I think it will be a combination of both a place and a space. And we have to provide seamless access to knowledge. It should be a place for collaborative learning spaces, not only for knowledge consumption, for construction, co-creation, or co-construction of knowledge. It is a learning hub. It is an idea exchange place. It is a vast corpus of knowledge through high-end collections and services. Research libraries support for open access and open science, digital scholarship, literary skills, scholarship, literary skills, research support workshops, research data support, research productivity impact support, innovation labs, incubator, entrepreneurship, maker spaces, multi-user space and services. These are the things which are actually now coming up in the world. Now, we are actually looking at the 21st century design of the library in the backdrop of Industry 4.0. So we have moved from the steam power to electrical power to electronics and computer power to now artificial intelligence. It is Industry 4.0, which is actually looking at intelligence and knowledge. So it is actually the artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, etc., going together with Internet of Things. What is the picture shows here is actually a number of robots working on in a Toyota factory in Japan, manufacturing a car. So this is actually the thing what we are living now. This is the age of Industry 4.0, the age of knowledge and intelligence. And at this moment, the dire demand is for Career 4.0. So what is our onus? What is our responsibility? We need to design our libraries in this backdrop. So the big questions what are arising are: what's the future of knowledge? What's the future of pathways to knowledge? What's the future of public technology and community-anchored institutions? What's the future of learning spaces? What's the future of attention? How much of attention can we, get from our users? What is the attention span? How do we retain the attention of the user? These are actually the things. So when you look at the strategies for the 21st century libraries, as we have already seen, it has become an all-in-one space for learning, consuming, sharing, creating, and experiencing. If I can quote Peskovitz, the rapid and radical changes that have taken place in the environment is actually posing a dire need and necessity for us to shift the library to the 21st century. What is recommended at this moment is to adopt a very interesting strategy, what is called Blue Ocean Strategy, to develop the 21st century library. Why Blue Ocean strategies? Because it's about creating uncontested markets so as to make competitions irrelevant. To elaborate more, it epitomizes strategic agility by focusing on creating and capturing new and innovative knowledge resources and services and inspiring learning environments. The idea is to look at the 21st century library with an entirely new perspective. There's no hangover of the past or the thought process that library should be like this, etc. We should not have any unwanted influence of the past. So we need to look at this development of the 21st century library with an entirely new lens, a new perspective. That is why Blue Ocean strategy is recommended. So when you look at the library's imperatives for agility and resilience, because only when you are resilient and resilient, you will have the capacity or capability to achieve the 21st century library. So it allows the organization for strategizing the library systems to face or overcome odds and challenges. The distinguishing feature of agile and resilient libraries is that it will have human resources with a shared vision, shared purpose, and it will be more participatory in every mission as against the traditional command and control model. The approach will equip the team library to resiliently respond to threats and make timely, effective, sustainable changes that generate competitive advantage. The prerequisites for organizational agility is all about capacity building, upskilling, reskilling, etc., which goes together to build the capability and competency of the workforce. All the above organizational features and characteristics go together to contribute to organizational agility, and that agility entails resilience to the organization, and it helps success and continued sustenance. So the renewed agenda for the 21st century library will be, because libraries place a premium on convenient access, relevant discovery and usage, and it should be at the center of research, teaching, and publication processes of the users. And research and scholarship is interdisciplinary, globally connected, and that internet-enabled pedagogy is commonplace. So libraries must adjust to the evolving scholarly behaviors, and the pace of change is quickening. So library as a catalyst and chief facilitator to the university or the institute community and its guests should be facilitating a holistic development for fulfilling and demonstrating their educational excellence, scholarly performance, and entrepreneurial endeavors. So the characteristic of the 21st century library is envisaged as a user-centered, technology-enabled ambience and space, having a futuristic vision, looking at the changing landscapes of technology, education, knowledge dissemination, and stakeholder sentiments. It will be a symbiotic assemblage of knowledge, information, data-driven systems, and services, and will be directed by highly skilled librarians, subject experts, IT specialists, academic administrators. The objective I have already mentioned in the opening. If you see, only the collections and services run by a library, if at all with additional specialized services, it will not be good. So if I can quote David Lang's, great libraries build communities. It is not sufficient. It is good that you build collections. It is even good that you build services, but it is not good enough. The best thing is to always build communities. So we have to have research support so much coming up by the libraries, from the libraries, and I would recommend all of us to look at the ARL, the Association of Research Libraries framework for research support for research libraries, and it promotes so much of open science support from the part of the library, which is a very umbrella statement. It covers open source, open access, open educational sources, open technologies, open standards, and so on. And also we should promote the curriculum support activities for the faculty, and it can be anything that can be rolled out from the library, seamless authenticated access to library content from the LMS, that is the learning management system. It should be interoperable with respect to all sorts of technologies. Faculty facilitated with the HACCP library content. Students get direct links from the library, seamless LMS integration, and end-to-end integration with the LTI, Learning Technology Interoperability Compliant products. And then the library can be connecting to the learning management systems and the content management systems, all the plethora of collections and services from the library. And we can also roll out a number of support workshops for the entire community, starting from students to researchers to the faculty in varying degrees of intensity, searching skills, finding skills, IT skills, research impact workshops, research skill workshops, searching literature reviews, research data management workshops, managing reference citations workshops, personalized research IDs workshops or research IDs support systems, and then effective management of research data using various software, open source software solutions, and then citation databases orientation on anti-plagiarism softwares, whatever we can, author workshops, then thesis writing workshops, a lot of other innovative entrepreneurial, hand-holding and workshops. So the principal interlocking channels of robust library systems and services will include seamless aggregation and integration of digital objects in metadata, print and electronic, supplemented with indexes and search algorithms, combined with information and knowledge guides, navigation interfaces, discovery tools, etc. And then on the interface side, you have ILMS, you have OPACs, you have ERMS, you have A to Z list, you have a number of subject guides, you have a number of subject navigation guides, diving deep into various in-depth subjects, digital libraries, institutional repositories, web-scale discovery services. If you can come out with the ontology-based services, what's called concept-based services, all that is welcome. Supported by highly enabled cutting-edge library systems and software solutions. And all these services should be gadget neutral, platform neutral, formats compatible, and interoperable. I think this will be the kind of service which will be required by. Already most of our libraries are offering these services, but connected with the focus areas which I am suggesting, additional to the traditional library services, will be the one which will be recommended, appreciated by the entire user community. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to take some questions on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for educating us to explore new directions for librarians to reinvent and reposition themselves in the changing world of libraries. I am sure by emulating your ideas of 21st century libraries, strategies, LIS community will be able to build a robust library ecosystem which will be agile and resilient. Thank you, sir. Now, I request Dr. Raj Shekhar, Pro Chancellor, University of Hyderabad, and President of today's inaugural function, to give his presidential address.
Yeah, very good evening. It gives me immense pleasure to be part of LIS Academy third national virtual conference in collaboration with the University of Hyderabad. So I feel it as a privilege to be part of this prestigious virtual conference. So respected Dr. P.V. Konnur, President LIS Academy Bangalore, Professor K.K. Agarwal, Honorable Chairman, NBA, Professor Karisiddappa, Honorable Vice Chancellor, VTU, Professor T.D. Kemparaju, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Bangalore North University, Dr. Shankar Venugopal, Vice President, Mahindra and Mahindra, Mahindra Research Valley, Chennai, Dr. M.G. Srikumar, Chief Librarian and Adjunct Professor, IIM Kozhikode, and finally my colleague, Dr. Vartharajan, Librarian, University of Hyderabad, Organizing Secretary. I thank all my co-speakers, panelists, which readily agreed and to be part of this prestigious conference. And during this COVID time, it is a kind of a great initiative. We have been seeing a lot of academic activities going on, but not many conferences. I think we have been seeing mostly the workshops and some kind of teaching activities have been going on. But these conferences are really, we know that how challenging it is. I have seen the kind of content, the schedule of the conference, and I feel this is more relevant and important, especially in the post-COVID times. We are going to redefine the role of librarians, especially library in the digital age, how these libraries are going to redefine its functions, its procedures, and how we can again look at library as an essential research depository where we can have lot of challenges to address the requirements of researchers, especially post 2009 regulations of UGC, where they have been speaking about PhD guidance publications, and there it started with ISSN, ISBN. Then people started trying to wonder what is this ISSN, ISBN. Though people were publishing in those journals, they were not bothered about what is ISSN, what ISBN. Then they started looking at what is this ISSN, what is this ISBN, and trying to contact their respective library friends and try to know what it is. Later, I think we have regulations on plagiarism, and also for thesis submission also now they have put some restrictions for which it is almost became mandatory as far as UGC regulations are concerned, where the certificate from library has become mandatory. And also the kind of the new initiative of UGC about the care list of journals, consortia of academic research and ethics, where the library again got lot of prominence because what journal is predatory, which journal is not predatory. So that's where the librarian role has become very crucial and critical. And they have been helping a lot of my teacher colleagues at university and also creating a lot of awareness about the plagiarism and the plagiarism issues. And when I conduct research methodology workshop, I try to see that at least 2 sessions are taught by my library colleagues about the plagiarism issues, and online plagiarism tools, anti-plagiarism tools, what is plagiarism, what is not plagiarism, and so on. And when I visited some of the Western universities, the libraries are really taking a lot of active role in conducting research methodology workshops and academic writing workshops, where the most of the academic departments are depending on library, not only for e-resources or other library resources, they're also looking library as a hub for various research activity. In the light of the ranking, NIRF ranking, QS World Ranking, Times Higher Education Ranking, the libraries have to play very critical role. And we know that most of the international rankings are now having some metrics of publication. They are now speaking about first quartile, second quartile, and so on. So now I think people are looking at librarians to help them how they would like to improve their scoring. So that's where I feel library's role and library's responsibility during COVID and post-COVID and this digital age is going to play a very important role. And I have seen the content and the schedule of the various active speakers and topics, and they have made wonderful efforts. Especially, I congratulate LIS Academy for identifying right topics and roping in the efficient resource persons to address various issues of redefining, reinventing excellence in librarianship. That is going to add lot of value, and I feel for a University of Hyderabad, it's a kind of a privilege to be associated with this kind of prestigious conference. And for the delegates and my colleagues on the dais in this virtual conference, as all of you know, the University of Hyderabad is one of the prestigious universities of the country. Consistently, we have been doing well as far as NAC is concerned, NIRF is concerned, QS World Rankings are concerned, and whatever ranking mechanism you have, we have been consistently doing well. It is mostly because of the kind of quality of research what we do, the innovative teaching programs what we design and develop, and we are the people working as a team, as all of you know, coming from library fraternity. Our IGML, Indira Gandhi Memorial Library, is a pioneer in automation, and our not only they are doing their library services, they're also actively participating in extension activities like offering a PG diploma program in LAN through Center for Distance and Virtual Learning. Most of the participants across the country have been attending PG diploma program and gaining a lot of knowledge about library automation. So with this initial remarks about this conference and at University of Hyderabad, I thank the organizers for requesting me to be part of this program and to preside over this function. And I wish you all the best. I hope the deliberations, whatever are going to take place in these 3 days, are definitely going to help the fraternity of libraries, and especially in general, and also especially the quality of research and the quality of publications and rankings of Indian higher education system. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much for giving your presidential address and extending wholehearted support for the success of the LISACON 2020. Thank you, sir. Gratitude should be our attitude. Now I request Dr. Varatharajan, University Librarian, University of Hyderabad, and Organizing Secretary of LISACON 2020 to propose vote of thanks.
Good evening, everybody. It gives me an immense pleasure to extend the vote of thanks to the dignitaries on the virtual dais. First of all, I will extend my sincere thanks to Professor Agarwal, the Chairman, NBA, MHRD, New Delhi, for his kind acceptance and delivering his inaugural speech. Then I will extend my sincere thanks to the honorary guest, Professor Karisitappan, Vice Chancellor, VTU Belgaum, and Professor Kambaraju, Vice Chancellor, Bangalore North University, for their kind acceptance and their speak about this conference. And then I will extend my sincere thanks to the keynote address, the speaker, Dr. Sankar Venugopal, Vice President, Mahindra and Mahindra Research Valley, Madras. Then I extend my sincere thanks to Professor Rajasekhar, our Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Hyderabad, for his kind acceptance and delivering his presidential address. Then I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Sri Kumar, the Chief Librarian, IAM Kozhikode, for his acceptance and the conference director. Then I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Kunnur, the President LIA and the virtual conference convener, for the selecting us, for choosing University of Hyderabad as a organizer for conducting this virtual conference. I thank all the people, those who are involved with this conference. Moreover, I hope that this virtual conference for another 3 days will be give good deliberation on the library services in the virtual environment. I hope this is going to be useful to our user as well as the library professional. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for thanking all our dignitaries and guests. Friends, I appreciate and thank for your time. And now we have come to an end of today's spectacular program. From tomorrow onwards, the technical sessions of the conference will start. Kindly join us sharp at 2:15 p.m. for knowledge-packed technical sessions. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.